Tell them run it on.
What is going on? What is going on, everybody in the house? What is going on? Wake up in Cleveland every single morning.
I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it on. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it on. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it on. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it on.
Told you, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Wake up in Cleveland. It's one of those days. Couldn't get the audio to work. The audio wasn't working out of the ATEM for whatever reason. And now we finally got it up. This is the joy of being the host, the admin, and the engineer all at one time. All at one time. It's never fun, but I'm glad we got it up, though. I'm glad we got it up. You know, I guess we got to look at the upside, though. You know, the upside is that, well, at least at a minimum. Jay Cunningham in the house. Jay Cunningham in the house. Unfortunately, no, I don't have any time right now. Maybe we can do it later. But what I was saying was, it is at least at a minimum, the fact, if you were to take anything away from COVID, anything away from this whole quarantine period, it would be our abilities to work around the situations that we're in now. You know, I think at one time you would get there and it would be broken, and you would literally just be like, "It's broken. Oh well, guess I got to do something else." But now, you know, we sit through it, we work it out. Critical thinking. That's all of these little things that we used to think, well, not me, but a lot of people used to think weren't that important. Oh, I'll just have so-and-so fix it. I'll just have so-and-so do this. And now it's like, no, you are the only one. You got to fix it yourself. So at least take that away from all of these little issues. I mean, let's see if my stuff is working the way it's supposed to. See? Yeah, nothing's working the way it's supposed to right now. I'm gonna have to reset the whole damn thing. But Ratbone, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen at all. Because the boy is it's not really his thing. Not really his thing at all. He's really good at you putting him in front of something and saying, "All right, go do it." And then he'll kill it. But if you have to say, "All right, I need you to actually wake up, get out of bed, and then go do it." That's a whole different animal for him. Whole different animal. So, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, today we do have former executioner. It always sounds bad saying it that way. Former executioner Rob Swift in the house. So he'll be joining us in a few. But you know, we're still gonna handle it like we normally do here. Let's do a little room check. Let's just check out who's in the room right now. I know some of you have been sitting here for a while. George Mapp on the YouTube side has actually been in here since before the show started. That's what you can do, you know, on the YouTube side. You can start texting and all that stuff. So thank you so much for hanging out today. Appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. Who else we got? Mix and Mel in the house. T Diesel, moderator. Ratbone, moderator. I don't think I've seen Lady Beats yet, but she's probably arresting somebody right now. So, you know, things happen. Things happen. All right, let's see who else we got in the house. We got 9-5 in the house. Thank you for hanging out today. DJ Throwback. I will check that out. I did not find that when I was doing my research. That's one that I didn't find. Who else we got in here? We got John P in the house. Good to see you, fam. Good to see you. Lady Beats is there. Lady Beats is always in the house. I know I give her a hard time, but you know, when she can make it here, she definitely tries, and I appreciate that. We got Dave Stevot in the house. Isolator Beats in the house. And these are facts right here. These are facts. I do need to dock the text pay. Marcus J in the house. DJ Sly. Good to see you, fam. Good to see you. That's the DJ City fam right there. Thanks for hanging out today. Appreciate you. DJ Cruz 1. And of course, it just jumped up on me. So, by the way, this whole setup that I got going on here with this whole A10 Mini Pro, and obviously, you know, I got the Rain setup in front of me right now. I'm using the Zoom L8 as my audio input for the microphone, and I have to make sure that I set everything to autoplay. It would be nice if Serato just, you know, said you could turn on autoplay and just leave it on. That'd be nice. Who else we got now? Oh, so what I was saying is, so the ATEM, I'm actually not sure how much longer I'll be keeping the ATEM, in all fairness. They have been, I told the story. They have been a little bit, they've been asking for some products back, and which I'm fine with. I have multiple products from ATEM, except for the fact that they want the one thing that I actually use all the time, which is the A10 Mini Pro ISO. That is my favorite device. Even though it has flaws, you know, the A10 Mini line is as great as it is, has flaws, but I'm okay with that because I know what it can do, and I know the picture quality, and I know the sound quality, and I know all the effects that you can put on. All those little things make everything better for me. And when I'm recording my YouTube videos, and I have multiple cameras, you know, like I got that one, I got this one, I have several other cameras, I can record all the streams at one time with the ISO. So I don't have a problem with them asking for it back. Normally speaking, when they ask for it back, they basically say, hey, okay, look, you've had it for this amount of time. Do you want to keep it? We can give it to you at a reduced cost, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, I want to buy this thing. And this time they're like, oh, somebody needs it back because it's like their first release of this product. So I'm sure the quantities, the stock is a little low. So they want to send it to another YouTuber, whatever. But I like it a lot. And they're not allowing me to just buy it at a cheaper price. The ISO is expensive. You know, the Mini is like $399 or $300. The Pro is $600. The ISO is like $900. I'm willing to pay, but I'm not willing to pay $900. So this might be going back, and I might be pulling out the Live Pro L1. That's another one that I have that I haven't tested yet, but now they're giving me a reason to test it. I'm gonna miss the noise, the noise compression. I haven't seen any other device with that, and I'm not using OBS, so I can't run any compression out of that. So my wonderful silence when I stop talking, I'm gonna miss that. I'm definitely gonna miss that, but we'll work around it. Maybe I'll just buy a noise gate. It's probably cheaper doing it that way. Okay, enough of me venting. DJ Flo's in the house. We got DJ Cruz in the house. DJ AC. I'm just gonna stop saying DJ, by the way, because you're all DJs, like legitimately all DJs. So Squad in the house. DJ Gemini in the house. Good to see you. Dan B. Throwback. Isolator Beats. Philip Tan on the it's probably Tan on the YouTube side. My subs are dope. What's going on, man? Good to see you. DJ Tyson. Who else we got in here? We got Makey Lavender. Currently watching from Montreal. We got some Canadians in here. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Let's see who else we got. Benkai in the house. Soul Scratch. Swift. What's going on the YouTube side? 9-5 and Hyperman. DJ Kelly Kell. J Mix in the house. Good to see you. Did I miss anybody? I don't think that I did. If I didn't, just curious, where's everybody coming from today? Since we are waiting for Rob, he'll be on shortly. I'm just curious, where is everybody coming from? I got Canada in the house. I got Germany in the house. Good to see you, Steve. Steve Oat. DJ Bank Guy says Earth. Okay, I believe that. That's a good place to be right now. We got Puerto Rico. Papa tiene las respuesta. Puesta. I get it right. New Haven, Connecticut. Boston snowed in. That is right. Boston is snowed in right now. You know what I think is funny? Speaking of Boston being snowed in, I feel bad for kids because this is the first year that when you get snowed in, you still have to go to school. This is the first year. I mean, that sucks. No snow days for you. But what's also funny is I think that this is probably the start of something else, because originally speaking, you could be snowed in and then you just wouldn't go to school and there were no alternatives. But now they can be like, all right, everybody's got Chromebooks at their houses. Just log on real quick. I think things are going to change, but I'm sure even teachers are like, I need a snow day myself. I just can't go to school today. All right. We got New Haven in the house, New York, LA. That's my hometown, LA. For all you people that don't know, Cleveland Terry is actually my name, not a location. I grew up, born and raised in LA. Who else we got in here? Davenport, Iowa. Mix and Mill. Why are my dogs barking? Buried in Boston. Central Valley, good to see you. California. West New York, a lot of East Coast people on here. Dallas, Texas, the UK. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for hanging out. Jay Cunningham and I had a very funny conversation because he's also in the UK and we're trying to get together, but timing can be an issue. I've actually gotten more comfortable with UK timing specifically because of all the people I deal with in the UK. So now I have that down. Don't ask me anywhere else, but I know West Coast, East Coast, and the UK. Sorry, just getting emails through here. Dallas, Texas in the house, Pennsylvania. Let me text good old Rob, see if he's awake. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I'm hearing people in my home and dogs barking. Let me just check that out real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. Like I said, life gets in the way sometimes. Anytime you hear, hey, no, don't, you have to stop what you're doing. I had to kick into dad mode. Everything's fine, but had to kick into dad mode. All right. I was texting the man Rob just to make sure you're good. Although he is in New York, so he should definitely be awake right now. All right. Let's see who else we got in the house. Let's see. We got everybody in the house. We got Alpha Music in the house. Jetpack bags. Okay. I see Rob's logging in right now. So he will be on in just a minute. Yeah. It's weird too, because my house is long. It's super long. So I have to And I have like my monitor over here. You have to hear things. Yeah, Rob will be on in just a second. He just told me he was logging in. So we are good. We are good. Mighty Rel in the house. Good to see you, fam. Good to see you. Look, by the way, if you're trying to look for dope DJs to like follow on Twitch and all the streams and all that stuff, this chat, this is the chat you need to be on. You need to be following all these people in the chat. And I guarantee you, even more will pop on in just a minute. This is the DJ chat stream. But if you definitely want to follow some dope guys, this is a place to do it. Roland 505 is a dope controller. That you're good. You're good. That's a dope controller. We got Tech 9. Tech 9, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. F105 in the house. Darwin in the house. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out today. Appreciate that. Marcus J in the house. You're always sensitive to noises. Noises are one of those things that's like when you're a dad, you just hear everything. Now look, depending on who you talk to, if you talk to my wife, she'll be like, he sleeps to everything. But I have selective hearing. I sleep until I need to wake up. You get what I'm saying? Like that's how dads work. We have selective hearing when it comes to drama in the house. And there's always drama in the house. That's just 14-year-old, 8-year-old. When the 22-year-old comes home, there's always drama in the house. So I choose to turn off my hearing sometimes. And it's funny because like my wife doesn't hear them screaming. Like they might be fighting, going back and forth. She doesn't hear a thing. I'm like, are you? Look, before quarantine, I actually had a studio. I had an office. So that's where I was throughout the day. So, from like 10 o'clock a.m., like right now, till 5, 6, 6:30. So for me, and it was just me in the office. Like my partner would come in, but it was just me pretty much always in the office. So when quarantine hit and I'm at home, I'm legit hearing everything. Kids are screaming, daughter's crying. And I'm like, honey, are you hearing this? Like, are you good with this? She's like, don't worry about them. And it was hard. It was hard for me because I'm like, I especially when your little 8-year-old daughter's crying, actually she was 7 when we went into quarantine. That's how much BS this is right now. But when you hear her crying, you just want to naturally help her. And then, but my wife turns it off, just off. And I'm just like, I can't do that. Fast forward now, screaming, crying. I just turned it off now. I don't even hear it anymore. So unless somebody's dead or maimed, I'm not trying to be involved. Like that's just not my thing right now, and you gotta pick your battles. Anybody with kids, knows this. You have to pick your battles because it will destroy you if you try to focus on too much stuff, like the wrong stuff. TD's, I'm about to put this on. I'm about to put an alarm on the fridge. Like 100%. I don't have a vitamin water today. I got to drink real water. I don't mind real water, but I got to drink real water. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. That's my pick me up. By the way, anybody have New Year's resolutions? And by the way, Rob is in the green room, so I don't want you to think I'm just BSing. This is me just chatting it up with the fam here. So, does anybody have any resolutions that they actually want to put into the new year? Because my resolution is get my fat ass out of this office and do some exercising. Because I've let it go. I've let it go. I gotta get back to where I was. So my birthday is actually January 18th. I'm going to start. What is today? Today is the, I love how it says my Apple Watch update complete and now, but it's frozen. Thank you, Apple. Appreciate that. Okay. So it's the 17th. So tomorrow I start my exercise regimen. I need a place to be by the time I hit my birthday, January 18th. So just a little trick. Apparently you're not supposed to set resolutions like I'm going to lose X amount of weight. I'm going to go to the gym every day. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to just have positive reinforcements. So instead of me saying, I'm going to lose, 10 pounds, you need to say, I am going to start eating vegetables more, or I'm going to eat fruit more. And that's the way you augment because people always break their resolutions. That's just facts. I'm not really one of those. When I said it, like, I don't drink sodas anymore. I started that resolution 4 years ago. It was New Year's Day, and I'm like, I'm done with sodas. I'll just be done with them. And stopped cold turkey, and haven't drinking sodas since. I mean, every so often I might have to taste something for the kids and make sure it's not all carbonated water, but no more sodas. And then I lost caffeine. That killed me. Anyway, so let me know what your resolutions are in the chat. Let me know what your resolutions are in the chat. Let's see what we got here. I saw one that says stop smoking. That's a good one. And senators a bribe. Oh, so, okay. Before we bring Rob on, let's just talk about this one little thing real quick. All right. This whole senators trying to introduce this bill to make streaming a felony is being overblown. All right. Yes, they are going after streaming companies that are doing it to make a profit. So that means overseas companies that are trying to, okay, like a perfect example. Like right now, if I wanted to, I could buy an app that will allow me to download all of my Tidal music right to my iTunes. Just click it, turn it on in the middle of the night, it'll download the rest of the day. Okay? That is technically a streaming app. That's illegal. But Twitch has made it very, very clear that this does not affect streaming DJs. Completely different entity they're going after. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, of course, look, what we're doing technically right now, well, not me personally, but when we do DJ on Twitch, it is illegal. You are breaking the law. Okay? Because you're not supposed to be streaming, music that you don't own copyrights to. So that's just facts. But look, we're DJs. We've been doing this for years. So that's not the issue. But if you're worried about you're going to get, a letter on your door, or the FBI is going to come raid your apartment, that's not going to happen. They're not coming after us. And again, scale. You have to think about scale. DJs on Twitch compared to gamers playing commercial music is so different. It's a vast difference between one and the other. You're talking, millions of people, or at least hundreds of thousands of people, and then you're talking about 10,000. I mean, we're 1% of Twitch right now. Not even 1%. So don't worry about that kind of stuff. They're not coming after us. They're coming after the people that are actually profiting from this. And last time I checked, we're not profiting. All right. Let's just see if we got any more random questions before we bring him on that I can answer before we bring him on. DJ Special J says, my resolution is to learn more scratch techniques and grow in the DJ community. That is a fantastic resolution, and one that's actually attainable. Before today, but last night when I was getting all my research together for Rob, I happened to come upon the Scratch documentary again, and I actually had forgotten it. So it was weird to me because I turned it on. I'm like, oh, Scratch. I'm like, I know about this, but I think I've seen it. And I watched the whole thing and I was like, I saw this years ago. If you're a DJ, you saw Scratch. But there was one DJ in particular, and he basically stated, look, if you devote yourself to DJing and you spend a year every day DJing, not worrying about the rest of the bullshit out there, but giving yourself that time to learn, to practice every day. By the time you finish the year, you will be a master of your craft. All right. So next year, 21 is as good a time as any to actually do something special. I mean, in reality, we probably should have been doing this during quarantine. We've been in quarantine. Well, at the end of the year, we will have been in quarantine for 9 months. If you had scratched every day during quarantine up until now, could you imagine the beast you'd be? I mean, no jokes, man. And look, I know life gets in the way and, little things like presidential wars and riots, like all these things play into your ability to even want to be motivated to DJ. I get it. But need to turn off this heater before I burn up. Technology, man. Technology. But now is the time to definitely do it. Look, when it's all said and done, we're probably still going to be in some limited quarantine for a while now, especially DJs. Don't expect DJs to just literally, okay, everybody got their shots, go back to work. Like that's not going to happen. We still have a lot of time on our hands before we're actually going to be able to do this full time. Yeah. So, okay. All right. I don't have resolutions, but if I had one, it would be to enjoy life even more. You're not enjoying life now? Oh, man. Oh, tell him 9-5 said what's up. I will tell him that. He can actually hear everything I'm saying right now. He's sitting in the green room. Steve D. Chris Villa in the house. What's going on, fam? Good to see you, man. There you go. Yeah, Steve D. Yeah, see, people, look. And by the way, the funniest thing about Scratch is seeing everybody so young. I mean, it was, 21 years ago. And that's not even counting before they made the documentary. So for some of these people, it's 22, 23 years ago. It's amazing. It's amazing. And seeing people like Craze, and then, his attitude back then is his same attitude right now. Hubert got into a little bit of trouble. If you remember during quarantine, we won't get into the details, but he got into a little trouble, and everybody in his defense was like, no, he's spacey. He didn't mean it the way you think he meant it. He's literally like above the world as far as his reality concepts are imagined, I guess. So but if you watch him in Scratch and he starts talking about, how we are just one little piece of a giant puzzle and all of these things, you're like, that's the same dude. That's the same dude that said these things. He's spacey. He operates on a different level. Okay. Enough talk about me. I see Rob in there. He's lifting some weights right now. He's, working on the biceps. Got to do what he's got to do. You got to do something to keep up them muscles. I used to have them. Now they're just no seps. They used to be biceps. Now it's just one sep. Okay. Let's get this going, guys. Let's get this going. We're gonna obviously move to our quick commercial, and then we'll bring him in. We'll bring him in. So, guys, sit tight. It's gonna be a fun one. All right, let's go. Okay, look, I know you think this is a little weird that we're sitting here talking and I just left and I was in a completely different outfit. Well, that's future me. I'm past me. So what I want to talk to you guys a little bit about while they're setting up for this next guest that's coming on, and I'm sure they're going to be dope, but I want to talk to you a little bit about ways to support the channel. You see, there's a lot of work that goes into this channel, and the only way to keep it going, the only way to keep bringing on new people and upgrading the sets and upgrading the intros is by you supporting me. So here's a couple of ways that you can support me, and I'm not sure that a lot of you know this. If you're new to Twitch, you want to look down right here. There's a little subscribe button. That's the easiest way to support me. It's like $5. It's like buying me a cup of coffee. If we're at the bar, you're buying me a beer. If you're feeling a little more generous, maybe you want to gift somebody a free sub. If you are a Prime member, you can use your Prime membership. You get one per month. You can use that on me. It doesn't cost you anything. Now, if you're sitting there on the YouTube side, you can also hit that membership button right there, or you can give me a super chat and then send me off a tip. Look, I know that times are tough, money's tough, and I know that what I'm asking for some of you people might be a little too difficult. So there are other ways that you can help the channel. You can host the stream, share the stream. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, share the stream to everybody. Get the word out. That's the easiest way to help me out, and that doesn't cost you a dime. Those are just a couple of ways that you can do this. I think they're coming back, so I need to get out of here. Just remember what I said. We'll see you soon. Bye.
My dad used to hide his needles in these attaché cases that my mom had. And he would hide the needles there and lock them up. And my brother would pick the lock and take the needles out and stuff like that and set them up on the turntables and call his friends over, and his friends would just bring massive records, like crates of records and stuff like that. And they just make tapes, you know? They make all kind of mixtapes with his friends rhyming and my brother DJing, cutting up beats and stuff like that. And that was my first exposure to the whole art of DJing and hip-hop.
All right. What's going on, man? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yo, what up, man? How's everything?
Oh, I'm good. It's good, man. It's good. Thank you for hanging out today. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
I know,
man, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so. So, by the way, I'd like to do a little bit of a room check. Everybody in the chat, make sure the volumes are good. I'm not too loud. He's not too loud. You know, let me know in the chat how we sound. But we'll keep talking, and if we need to make modifications, we'll make them on the side. By the way, original video rat, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. We got a lot of people in here already. They've been excited to see you, excited to hear from you. So like I said, it's a pleasure that you're on. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Right on.
So yesterday, before I ended my stream with the Boom Bap Kids, I don't even know if the person saw that I saw this, but they were like, ask him what he thinks about controller DJs. So I mentioned it to you yesterday, and she said this is one of the first things we're going to talk about. So, you know, let's just get that out in the open, because they said Rob is a little low, which means I'm just a little high, so I can adjust that.
Yeah, if you want, I could do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that better?
Yeah, I think you're fine. I think I'm probably just a little too loud, so I had to adjust it yesterday. So basically, you know, what is your feeling on controller DJs?
Well,
because apparently you don't like them too much.
First, yeah, let's ask me the question the way it was presented to you, the way you asked me yesterday when we jumped on. Let's just be transparent.
I think what he said was ask Rob Swift why he hates controller DJs.
Exactly. That's the way it was asked. And shit, why not start with a controversial subject? Controllers. I'm just going to answer that question with an analogy. Okay. So let's say we're in high school, all of us, everyone on Twitch, Cleveland Terry, Rob Swift. We're in the 12th grade, and we are all a part of a math club, right? And we bust our ass studying mathematics, understanding, solving equations, just by your own natural ability to think and process information and make sense of numbers, right? And let's say halfway through the semester, the school makes a new rule that to establish some sort of fairness amongst students that aren't in the math club, we're going to allow people, or students, I should say, with weaker exam scores to enter the math club with the calculator, right? So you have us, the students that have been busting their ass, learning the math, studying, and then you have them, the students that don't take the time to study, don't really care about math, but they just want to be a part of something. So they're handed calculators and now they're in the math club. Mm-hmm. To me, it's not necessarily that I hate the calculator. It's that the student, the mindset behind the calculator is the problem. You think that you're a mathematician now because you could punch in numbers on a calculator and solve the same equations that you and I have been studying and busting our ass to understand for our whole stench in high school. You know what I mean? So to me, the calculator analogy is symbolic of what's going on now with regards to controllers. Controllers make the process of DJing very easy. And I feel that a lot of people that get controllers, they get gassed, to be honest with you. They get gassed and they assume this, I don't know, this feeling of, well, I'm a DJ now because I have a controller and have access to MP3s because I have a laptop and technically I could play out anywhere. And there's so much more to DJing than pressing buttons, and you know, some controllers literally scratch for you. And to me, that just goes against the whole point of this art form. DJs like us make the impossible possible. And when we perform in front of people, it's like you leave people scratching their heads like, dude, how did he do that? How is it that the record is moving that way underneath his fingertips? How is it that he's not making the needle skip? How is it that he's controlling kicks, snares, and manipulating time and space the way he is? And controllers do half the work. If I were to use another analogy, it's like running on a treadmill. If you run on a treadmill, you're doing half the work. The treadmill's doing the other half. And that's how I feel about controllers. And I feel like when I state that, being that I'm direct and very no holds barred about my opinions, I think at times I get interpreted as I'm hating people that use controllers or I'm hating controllers. I don't hate anyone. I love everybody. I'm thankful to be here. This is awesome. You and I are manipulating technology in a way that allows us to reach people. But some people manipulate technology in the wrong way. And I think what's happening in the world of DJing with regards to controllers is an example of that.
So, okay. So using that analogy you were saying, or at least using that example, what is your feeling then? Because obviously as we moved forward in years and we've evolved past, you know, that's probably the wrong term, but evolved past just your standard turntables. Now we have, you know, which is sitting right here. We got the Rain 12s. You know, what's your thought knowing, and by the way, I have my turntables over there too. We're demoing these. What is your thought on the Rain 12s? Because they're controllers. You know, they're not turntables in the modern sense. So, you know, what do you feel about that? Especially with like DMC now allowing 12s in the competitions.
My feeling is if you have background in DJing, if you have a solid foundation of the principles of this art form, and you decide to go out and drop money on a pair of Rain 12s, go for it. I'm not against technology in that sense. I myself have the new Rain 70, and that allows you to do a lot more stuff than you could do on a bullshit 2200 Gemini mixer. Right. So I'm not against technology and I use it, but I think the difference between someone like myself and a person that runs out and buys a controller is that, again, I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I understand how to solve the math equation with a pencil and paper and my mind. And therefore, if you put me on a calculator, I'll get the equation right. But if the calculator battery dies, I'm not fucked. I can still
you can still do the math. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I use that with like anybody learning how to drive right now. You know, everybody's learning how to drive on automatics, but nobody knows how to drive stick. But if you know how to drive stick, no matter what situation you get in, you can still drive the car.
Exactly.
You know, so I understand what you're saying, and I am on that side, and I've taken a lot of heat for that too, saying, look, if you want to use a controller, that's fine, but you still need to know how to DJ on some turntables, spend the time, learn how to do it just in case. And a lot of people are like, you know, a lot of people, the argument will be, well, there's two arguments, and I'll read one first. You know, Queso says, I understand your analogy, but there are those who can't afford turntables and mixers, so controllers help as a step to those who would take interest in mixers and turntables. You know, so that's one way of looking at it, and he's not wrong. It is an expensive entry into, you know, what we're trying to do here, but you can get used. I mean, I got 7 to 10 Technics 1200s MK2s that I bought all off of Craigslist. You know, so there's still that option there. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, if that's all they have to work off of, and they don't have access to turntables.
I think resourcefulness is a key trait to have as a DJ. Rock Raider, rest in peace, started off with no turntables. How about that? When he decided he wanted to be a DJ, he had no access to equipment in his house, and he had to go to friends' houses to DJ and practice. Now, the person that asked me that question might then, his rebuttal might be, all right, well, what if there's a DJ in Nebraska or a kid in Nebraska that wants to DJ and there aren't people around him in his area that he can, you know, visit and practice on their equipment, and all they can afford is a controller. Fine, get the controller, but know that you're using a piece of equipment that enables you. Understand that you're using gear that has been configured and designed to make DJing easy for you. And as a result, when you're learning on a controller, i.e. the calculator, you're getting the equation. You know, on a calculator, you punch in 2 + 2 equals, and you get the answer, which is 4.
Right.
On a controller, if you want to do a flare scratch and you don't know how to execute the flare scratch, you can access a bank of scratches that will perform the flare scratch for you, and that's good. You know, you're getting the result, but the process of learning how to execute the flare scratch is even more important than the actual flare. And when you learn on a controller, you become dependent on it to help you do things that historically DJs did on their own with this gear. So by all means, get the controller, but if you have to, use it as if it were 2 turntables and a mixer. You know, don't get into the habit of taking shortcuts, hitting the sync button so that the 2 songs are mixed for you by the controller.
Let's see if he comes back. He was about to say, I really respect you as an artist, Cleveland Terry. Thank you for having me on. I really want to come on every single day. Is he back?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, there you go. That's all right.
Yeah.
Just
sorry about that.
Fill in time.
Yeah. So where did I leave off?
You left off on don't. I don't know where you're going after that.
Cool. So yeah, like if you have the means to only purchase a controller, don't rely on it or its features to do the DJ work for you, is the point that I'm trying to make. So if you have controllers, learn how to mix by ear. Don't depend on the sync button. If you have controllers, don't depend on the scratch banks and fake scratch. Learn how to scratch on your own. And eventually, hopefully, whether you work or if you're young, you could get your parents to buy you some turntables for Christmas. We're a week away. You'll figure out a way to get this equipment. This equipment meaning the true authentic gear that DJs developed all these techniques on, and then you could learn the proper way. But I will say this. I will say this about controllers. They've been around for how long now, would you say?
Oh, a while. But I would say they probably didn't really pick up steam until like maybe 10 years ago, when all of a sudden like the SX was probably the first controller people were like, okay, I can use this.
Right. And CDJs have been around since what, like the early 2000s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So let's just say we have 20 years since the digital age of DJing has transformed to you not needing a turntable with a tone arm and a needle and records. And in the last 20 years, there hasn't been one creation, one invention, one contribution by any DJ that has changed or added on to the manuscript of what DJing is. Every technique that exists today, from dropping on the one to the most complicated flare scratch to the most intricate beat juggle, was created on turntables. And the whole point of that kid in Nebraska wanting controllers is because he saw a video on YouTube, either from someone on controllers that was inspired by a dude like me that used turntables, or he saw a video on YouTube or Instagram of a dude like me killing it on turntables. So again, like if you're wanting to understand this art form and immerse yourself in the beauty of what DJing is, then it would make sense to get the equipment that this art form was built on, which are turntables, mixer, headphones, needles. So
yeah, there's a one of my peers on YouTube, Prion Joni, works for Pioneer. He likes to do the Jazzy Jeff not Rock the Bells. Which one is it? I can't remember. I think it is Rock the Bells. His routine that he does, but he does it on controllers just to show people that it can be done, but he can also DJ on turntables. And because the people will see his controller video and be like, oh, look, I can just do all this stuff. And he's like, well, but you still need to know the fundamentals. And it's odd because like I have a Rain 72. I personally bought a Rain 70, with my own money, even though companies send me products all the time. And I got the Rain 70 before I got the 72 to demo. And what's interesting on the 72 is there's actually a pad effects that has backspin and there's cuts and all these things. And I'm going, why would they put this on a flagship DJ battle mixer when they know that nobody's going to use those things? You know what I mean? So it's like, it almost feels like the industry has to like appease the people that came from controllers because a lot of the controllers gave them these benefits. So now they can't just say, we can't take it away because they're going to be like, where's my thing? Where's the thing I always use? So it's kind of like this self-perpetuating issue, this error that keeps going back around because they want to make sure they're giving the purchaser what they want, but they also, want to push the envelope. And by the way, everybody out there real quick, when he says scratch bank, he's not referring to the Serato scratch bank. He's referring to just like scratch effects.
Right. Yeah. And two, like, look, I love what Serato has done for the DJ culture. I love what Rain has done for the DJ culture. These companies have made it so that the gear that we're working on now in the year 2000 facilitates ways for us to do even more and express ourselves on a larger scale and dive into our personal creativity in ways that honestly you can't with just a piece of vinyl and a turntable. There are limitations. There are limitations that I've experienced as a DJ since I started from the age of 12 to now that you incur on turntables. You can't, let's say I wanted to practice right now, and there was a specific song that I had an idea to work on. If I don't have access to that song and I'm using vinyl, I gotta either order the records and wait a week or two for the records to arrive, or I gotta go on an excursion throughout the city to find a record. Now with Serato, I could download the MP3 from iTunes, have my friend send it to me that lives in Germany that has the MP3, and within seconds I have access to the song, and I use my control records and I use my Rain 70 with the USB connection to the laptop, and voila, I could get creative and post that video to Instagram or YouTube and have fun and share my creativity with people. Technology is amazing, and I'm the first one to appreciate and show love to these companies. But again, to bring it back full circle, I'll just end with this. It's about the mindset behind the technology that bothers me. So it's that person that says, I can afford turntables or I can afford a controller. I'm going to get the controller because it's easier to travel with. It's lighter. It'll fit in my little nook in my bedroom. Like, you know, you come up with these like shallow reasons as to why you want to get the controller. And shit, when I was coming up, you begged your parents to buy you turntables and the speakers and the amplifiers and the speaker wire and the records. And you had all this junk, all this cumbersome, clunky equipment and gear in your house. But you know what? That clunkiness and that cumbersome gear is what helped shape my career. And it's the reason why you would feel I'm worthy of talking to. You know, all those years that I've invested in practicing and developing my skills on turntables is what led me here to this day. And it's why I own, you know, a Rain 70 and all that, man, because that equipment that I started on paid for itself. And then it made me even more money. You know what I'm saying? Right. So DJing the authentic way with the traditional equipment is like a journey, man. And you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about art. You learn a lot about creativity. And a controller just takes a lot of that away.
I agree with you. And look, I joke because I'm on both fences, because obviously I own a mobile DJ company when we're not in quarantine. So, you know, I'm doing a whole bunch of events. I do have a controller that I bring to all of my events because it is easier, but I also know where I came from. And if I'm sitting in my house, I'm working with turntables and I'm not even thinking about it. You know, I have many controllers sitting in the house from people that sent me stuff. I'm like, no, I'm going to use turntables. That's what I love. So, but I think some people, sometimes it's not about it just being easy, but it just being what they're exposed to. You know, it's like one of those things where if everybody just knows they use controllers, they're not even thinking about turntables up until later. And then it's like, okay, I want to make that entry into turntables. Oh, I got to get all this stuff. I mean, look, I know you said you carry everything. Obviously, look at the arms. The arms are proof that you carry everything around. And by the way, Scratch Bastard, I know I saw him follow. I think he's in the house. What's going on, Scratch? Good to see you, man.
What
Good
up,
to
Scratch
see you.
Bastard?
And DJ Flipside, thank you for the raid. I appreciate you, fam. Out of Chicago. Okay. The other argument's going to be, a lot of people make this, and I've always thought it was an excuse. When people say, it doesn't matter the equipment you use, It doesn't matter. It's just how you rock the party. And in my mind, I've never thought that was ever in question. Like, rocking the party should happen no matter what you're using. But you can't use the whole, I don't want to deal with the turntables, I don't want to do all this stuff. I can rock the same crowd with my controller, so I'm just as good as any other DJ. You know, what do you say about that?
I think that argument is made by people that want to avoid confronting the fact that people like myself, purists, don't have anything against rocking the party and playing the right music. I mean, at its core, that's what DJing is, rocking for people. And I think that that's a really, like, it's like a slippery way of avoiding the point that purists like myself try to make when these debates come up, which is, yes, rocking the party is important, but you develop that instinct, or I should say you develop that proper instinct to rock the party on turntables organically. There's more to rocking a party than queuing up a song from your laptop, a top 40 song that you know is everyone's gonna rock to. You know, like, I've seen DJs like Jazzy J rock a party full of 20-something-year-old, you know, young adults that don't know the music he's playing, but they're rocking because he has a certain degree of instincts. Like, he knows the frequencies that he needs to toy around with to capture the attention of people and control them and get them to move. I don't necessarily have to play a Drake song. I could play an Aerosmith song at the right time and get people to move. And again, these are techniques, these are experiences that have been a part of DJ culture since its conception up until the digital age. And companies that understand this are designing equipment that makes it easier for you to DJ. But if you have that sync button, or if you have access to you know, a bank of flare scratches and transform scratches, you're not being encouraged to make mistakes and learn the organic way. You're being encouraged to take a shortcut, maybe. You know what I mean? And then how are you developing yourself as a DJ? You know what I mean? Like, DJing isn't just having the laptop and having the MP3s and having the controller and then putting DJ in the bio section of your IG profile, and that's it. There's a lot more to this art form, not some, you know, trend. This is an art form, and at least to me it is. And I think because of that, I'm here today being asked questions. And if you want to be the average guy, like, and you want to just, you know, be like everyone else and not be remembered and not make a mark, by all means, take the shortcuts, get the controller, knock yourself out. Like, at the end of the day, you're free to do that, you know? But if you really want to experience DJing and like experience yourself connecting with music and manipulating people and being creative, a controller might do that to a degree, but a turntable for sure does that.
I want to show this quick little clip, and then we'll get into something else. But it literally flows perfectly. So.
My dad used to hide his needles in these attaché cases.
When I won the DMC World Finals, Rob was like a big time help to me right at that point. Like, I used to come into his house, practice, just put my set together. Like, we were just putting our song together. We just thought, like, hey, it'll be dope if you do this at that point, and just a lot of input, a lot of help.
You could watch a videotape and not realize how much time and energy was put into those 6 minutes. Months and months of practice, you know, all boiled down to 6 minutes.
So I wanted to show that clip because I felt like it kind of really goes into the facts of what you're explaining. Like there is you can be a DJ or you can be a DJ who understands and appreciates the culture and, you know, is doing everything they can to keep the culture alive. I think there's a lot of people out there trying to literally just like push it aside. No, we're good here. We're good here. Don't worry about. It's the same thing with hip hop. You know, like the new hip hop guys. I can't even call them hip hop guys, but the new rappers are the first to be like, oh, well, that's my dad's music. That's my dad's stuff. Like that's not us. We're trying to do something different, and they're trying to just like push aside. You took. You won the 91 DMC. What?
92.
East Coast.
1992.
Okay. Gotcha. So you took that, and can you tell people a little bit about like what doing that, what it takes, what's involved in not only winning but competing in something like that?
That's a great question. I saw. All right, let me backtrack. Actually, I heard because when I was coming up, there was no smartphones, there was no YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch. All you had was a landline telephone that your mom owned.
That she always owned.
Right, exactly.
The long cord.
Right, exactly. And you had the access to VHS tapes, beta tapes, and the radio. And I would listen to the radio avidly every weekend, Friday, Saturday at night. I'd put my headphones on, turn my dad's amplifier, and listen to DJs like Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out on 98.7 KISS. I'd listen to DJs like Marley Marl and Mr. Magic on WBLS. And over by the lower numbers of the scale of radio stations, closer to like the 80s, there was a guy named Johnny Juice. Big ups to Johnny Juice, who DJ'd on a radio show called P5, I think it was called the Post-Punk Progressive Pop Party. And the host of the radio show was a guy named Jeff Foss. And rest in peace, who he passed away a few years back. And they had a college radio show. Now, on college radio, you have the ability you have more freedom, I should say. You could technically play whatever you want. You don't necessarily have to follow the program director's list of songs to play. So what Johnny Juice would do, and I thank him to this day for this, he would bounce audio from a VHS tape of DJs like Cash Money, Cutmaster Swift, Chad Jackson in the world finals of the DMC competing to an audio tape. And then he would play that audio tape on the radio. So I'd be home listening to Johnny Juice Get Busy. And then every now and then he would break into these excerpts from DMC competitions. And that was my first exposure to the DMC. It wasn't something that I saw visually. It was something that I heard. I had no idea that these competitions even existed. So I remember Cash Money cutting up Get Down by LL Cool J calling me a sucker, sucker boy, sucker boy. Cutmaster Swift cutting up Peter Piper. DJ Aladdin cutting up Rock the Bells. And I was just like, yo, what these dudes are doing is not what Red Alert, Marley Marl, and Chuck Chillout are doing. Like, they're doing something on a completely different level. And it doesn't sound like a human could move that fast. It sounds like, I don't know if anyone out there watching and listening to us is old enough to remember the Latin Rascals. And the Latin Rascals were these two DJs that would create these super cool, action-packed, hyper-energetic mega mixes, and they would play them on 98.7 Kiss. But they would edit songs like Run DMC, Rockbox, Houdini, Friends, all kind of stuff, but they would edit it similarly to the way Mantronics did production for like Just Ice and MCT. So they would do stuff and splice sounds, and it would sound like a DJ backspinning, but it wasn't. It was them just editing music.
Oh, wow.
Right. But Cash Money, Aladdin, Cutmaster Swift, Chad Jackson, these guys were doing it manually with their hands. Manually doing what the Latin Rascals did on a piece of 2-inch reel and tape and splicing words and beats. These guys were doing it with their hands, and I was just like, how is that possible? And then the fast forward a year or two, big shout to my boy Ralph McDaniels. He's the host of a popular flagship video show here in New York City called Video Music Box. And again, back then, you know, if you wanted to watch videos, you'd have to watch them on TV and wait for your favorite show to come on. And Video Music Box came on Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 4:30, and I would race home from school, turn it on to channel 31 and watch videos. Run DMC, LL Cool J, Cypress Hill, NWA, all that stuff. And one day, Ralph McDaniels showed an excerpt of the East Coast DMC from 1990. And in that DMC, it was Steve D beat juggling, taking drums and rearranging the drums, remixing them the way that I heard Cash Money and Aladdin and Chad Jackson and Cutmaster Swift do it. The way I heard the Latin Rascals do it with 2-inch tape on 98.7 Kiss. But now I'm seeing it from my couch at home. And I'm like, yo, that's how they do that stuff. Like, I see like the guy is looking at the records and he's manipulating time and space with his hands. And I just fell in love with that style of DJing. And this was summer of I'm lying. This was late winter, around March of 1990. And I saw that on Video Music Box, and that day I made the decision to get more serious about DJing. And I told myself, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to enter this DMC competition next year, and I want to be on stage getting people to respond to my creativity the way Steve D did on that fucking little excerpt. Like, it was a few seconds, but he moved me. And that was my exposure to DJing. And DJing on this level, on the level of beat juggling and scratching and competing and all that.
So when you came up, because obviously how long did it take you to get to a routine where you were like, okay, this is quality. I can put this out there to people. Like, how many months would you say you practiced a specific routine?
I'll answer that question this way. From the age of 12 to the time I was 19, I basically trained myself how to do what I heard Johnny Juice do on the radio, Red Alert, Chuck Chillout, Marley Marl. And then when I finally got exposed to the higher level of DJing, by cats like Aladdin, Cash Money, Cutmaster Swift. Then I started training to be like those guys. So I would say I spent 7 years understanding the hand mechanics behind backspinning, beat juggling, scratching, and learning how to mimic the routines that these amazing DJs were doing from start to finish. I spent, I started off learning how to backspin Good Times the way Grand Mixer DST did at the end scene of Wild Style.
Right.
I learned how to scratch the way Grandmaster Flash and Jam Master Jay did on the songs that they put out with the Furious Five and Run DMC. But then, thanks to my boy Juju, who just had a birthday a couple of days ago, a happy belated birthday, Juju, from the Beat Nuts. Juju was close to a guy named Dr. Butcher, and Dr. Butcher at the time was like the best DJ in my neighborhood and arguably in New York. He never competed, but he was dope. This guy was amazing.
There's always that guy that never competed, but you knew he was better than everybody out there.
Exactly. And he DJ'd for Coogee Rap. And Juju, knowing how much I loved DJing, was like, yo, man, I got to introduce you to Dr. Butcher. I think Juju understood that I plateaued and I reached a level. I was coasting on a specific level of DJing that wasn't really fulfilling my true potential. And I don't think I even knew it, but Juju knew it. And he was like, yo, man, I'm going to take you to Dr. Butcher's house. Watch when you get to his house. And sure enough, I went to Drew's crib and Drew put on a DJ clinic right in front of my eyes. So it's funny. I'm telling this story to you on what goes into composing a routine, but not to kind of go off on a tangent, but first I was exposed to DJing sonically by listening to the radio, DJing on the level that we're talking about, like the beat juggling and all that. Because, I learned about DJing through my brother and my dad first. But then I saw that video on Video Music Box of Steve D, that excerpt of him cutting it up on a song called Friends by Houdini at the DMC in 1990. Then I went to Dr. Butcher's house and I was there in person and I was seeing this guy do all the stuff that Steve D did in the flesh. And it was July of 1990. And I remember after Dr. Butcher finished, I was like, dude, teach me. Like I was that prototype, kid in the martial arts movie who's young, thinks he's the shit.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly. Young, thinks he's the shit, but then encounters that master who's just light years ahead of him. And I was just like, dude, take me under your wing, man. Like, teach me. I want to compete. I want to get in the DMC next year. Like, I was like, literally next year, I want to do this. And he was like, all right, I'm going to help you train. So we trained
paint the fence.
yeah, exactly. Karate Kid, And so he was Mr. Miyagi and I was his student. And from July of 1990, we trained all the way till March of 1991. So let's see, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 9 months straight, Monday through Friday. I was at his house at 6 o'clock every day because that's when he got home from work and we trained.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it took me 9 months. It took me 9 months to develop a 6-minute routine and master it well enough to compete and place third in my first battle. And then the year after that, I entered again and won.
And I think what a lot of people aren't even understanding, what you're describing here, it took you 9 months of steady work just to be able to compete at a high level. We're not talking about all the years that you were just DJing and developing your craft. This was to take you to the next level. There's so much involved. Oh, by the way, DJ Melody in the house. What's going on, fam? Good to see you.
What's up, Mello? Beat Junkies in the house. Babu, Repmatic, Mr. Chalk. What up?
Speaking of somebody that look young, we were just talking about. I was watching the Scratch documentary. Mello, you looked hella young.
Yeah, Mello still looks young. Mello still looks young.
He has the same face, just some gray on the side, just a little gray on the side.
Yeah.
So okay. Now, I've always considered DMC to be like anybody that considered themselves a scratch DJ was in the DMC. And if you were good, it's almost like the slam dunk competition. Like you expect to see Jordan in it at least once or twice. You expect to see Kobe in it. So you expect those people to be in there. Now, fast forward to today. DMC is still around, but the contest that's taken over has been, Red Bull. What's your take on the Red Bull style of competition versus DMC?
I think it's dope. I love it.
Okay.
I think that no one organization should monopolize what a DJ battle could be, And I think it's important for DJs of different caliber to push themselves. So whereas the DMC pushes you to really master the intricacies of scratches and beat juggles and body tricks, and it's this crazy hand choreography that you see these kids do today on stage. Competitions like the Red Bull 3 style encourage DJs to master their taste in music, their listening skills, how to sequence a set, and not just make it about your technique, but whether or not you could engage an audience, understanding different genres of music. That's important too, and I tell people a lot of times that refer to me as a turntablist. I sometimes I stop them and I say, no, I'm a DJ. I'm a DJ, man. And so I could, if you put me in a room with Melody, Qbert, D Styles, whatever crazy young kid exists now from Europe, and they're all scratching, I will scratch and hang with all those guys. And if you put me in a room with Kid Capri, Jazzy Jeff, Ron G, and they're talking about music taste and blends, I can hang with those guys. Like, it's important to be able to do all of the different aspects that involve DJing and playing music and manipulating music. And so I feel it's a good thing that Red Bull 3 style exists. Big shout to A-Track and his battle, the Goldie Awards. That's a fun competition. And it combines production with DJing, and that's a different take on what we do. All those battles that exist are important. And for me, there's no one battle that's more important than the other. It's just different avenues. And not everyone wants to scratch 1,000 miles per hour and do the most intricate beat juggles. Some people love party rocking and DJing weddings and clubs and having a residency. And if you're that kind of person, the Red Bull 3 style battle is a great competition to inspire you to amplify and increase your potential in that arena. If you're into production and what it takes to make a beat on the fly, like in real time, then you could do the Goldie Awards competition and fuse some of that with scratching and beat juggling and body tricks. So I think they're all important.
Now, you brought up something, and since you brought it up, let's just go into it. When you talked about you may not want to see somebody scratch, 100 miles a minute. What is your feeling on a lot of scratch artists today versus in the past? Because I think what I'm starting to witness is DJs that are technically excellent at scratching. Okay. They can do all the tricks, but there is a musicality that is missing from the scratches. What are you experiencing with that? Growing from, from the most basic scratches to, to the more complicated ones. You've seen them all.
I'm experiencing the same thing you are. And I'll be honest with you. We're all here on this earth to be creative and express ourselves, right? So by no means do I want anyone out there to assume that I'm trying to control the direction that the style of DJing that we're talking about, scratching, beat juggling, is going in. Because I'm just one person, and I know that.
Right.
That said, I feel like in general, I'm not necessarily trying to paint today's generation of DJ with a broad brush, so to speak. But in general, I feel like the kids that compete in a lot of these more of the, I would say more so in the technical battles, like the DMC, like the IDA competition. I feel like today's turntablist is disconnected with the fundamental aspects of DJing. So what I mean to say is this. Earlier, you and I were talking about how I went from age 12 to 19 developing myself. And it wasn't just developing my technique. It was also playing out at parties. I would DJ house parties for high school friends, and they'd pay me whatever, $50, $100 for a night. I remember the first party that I DJ'd was in 6th grade at my junior high school. I DJ'd the junior high school dance. And my dad trusted me enough with his equipment and literally drove me to my junior high school with all his speakers, all his equipment, set it up for me, and I DJ'd the entire dance. And I remember my friends were watching me like, Rob, like, this is crazy. Like, who are you? Like, how is it that you know how to work this equipment? And I'm like 12 years old with headphones on, cutting it up and mixing and stuff. So I spent those years honing in on the different strengths and getting better or improving in my weaknesses. But I also developed an ability to interact with people through music. DJing at a house party means you got to understand how to keep a bunch of teenagers happy. And you got to make sure that you're playing the right music. And someone storms into the bedroom where you're set up and they want to hear a b-boy break because they want to start breakdancing, having access to that song, dropping it, keeping the beat going. All that is a part of DJing too. And I feel that today's DJ is missing out on that because we all interact so much like this, like via Twitch or via Instagram or via YouTube or via FaceTime. And as a result, there's really no need for you to be around people as much. So there aren't house parties. You're not being asked to come DJ this house party for this girl who's turning 17 and her friends are going to be there. And all those experiences help you develop as well as a DJ. It's not just about technique. So when you hit the stage and you have all those people staring back at you, you've been there already. You've been there at the house parties. You've been there at the high school dances. I remember when I graduated, instead of DJing my prom, when I graduated Newtown High School, instead of going to my prom, I DJ'd the prom of another high school. Because my thing was, fuck my prom. I'll go DJ another prom and get money. You know what I mean? So those experiences you bring to the stage when you're competing at a DMC or an IDA. But a lot of the younger kids now that compete never DJ'd a party. They never experienced having someone walk up to them and request a song and them having to find that song and then play it. They never experience what it is to engage an audience because all they do is they stay at home for like 5-6 hours a day perfecting that orbit flare or that offset backspin or that body trick, and then they go from the bedroom to the DMC stage. So it's like they're up there like these robots executing what they've been rehearsing in their bedrooms, but they're not really interacting with the audience. And their music selection is just like a bunch of fast scratch beats and beat juggles with songs that like aren't even hitting. Like you play the song and you're like, what is this song? Like, I'm not even feeling this shit. Cause it's like they haven't developed that, like, yo, I got to keep these people entertained. And it's not just about my skill. It's about the music I play too and the taste that I have in music and sharing that with these people. And now I'm flipping the music that they like with my cuts and my juggles. You know, that's missing. So, you know, that's the best way I could answer your question. Like, there definitely is a disconnect between today's DJ and the authenticity of what DJing is, which is rocking a crowd of people, playing music for people. I think today's DJ, and when I say DJ, I mean the turntablists out there. Their focus is, I gotta learn that 4-click orbit boomerang up the ass, 1,000 miles per hour zoom scratch. I gotta learn that because if I do that, I'm gonna win the competition. They a lot of them don't even care about music selection or catering to the audience. So what I do, because I also teach, and I have a legion of students called the Brolic Army, and I teach cats from all over the world, young people, old people, how to DJ. If they want to compete, I train them. I have a battle that I do every October called the Brolic Army Battle for Supremacy. And it's between just my students. And I teach them, like, here are the techniques, but make sure that you're taking into consideration the music that you're applying these techniques on. And when you shoot the video of yourself, engage your audience. Although there may not be people in your room while you're shooting that video, when I post it, there will be thousands upon thousands of people watching it. So engage them, look at the crowd, like have fun as you're performing, because then your audience will have fun with you. And that disconnect does exist amongst a lot of the DJs that compete now. The disconnect meaning the interacting with people and not making it about yourself and you're just going crazy and everything is scratching it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
It's funny you'd say that, because especially when you mentioned the Goldie Awards with A-Track, because A-Track was on the Mickey D show at DJ City a couple of years back. And I was there, and he said, you know, it's funny, when I won DMC, all I know how to do was scratch. I didn't know how to DJ. So then people started booking me, and he was like, I guess I got to learn how to DJ now. And he's like, it took a long time for him to get that part of it, because there is a mastery of rocking crowds, just like there's a mastery of turntablism, you know, and it's Universal Will said, 2 different game, turntablist versus club DJ. And I mean, to a point, I think the culture should exist between the both of them, no matter what. I think it's the difference between like you're a sprinter or you're a distance runner. You're still a runner. It's just a different. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you should still be able to do both, but maybe you just do one a little slower. You know.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not sure what the mindset of the person was that made that comment regarding, you know, turntablism, DJing 2 different games. I forgot exactly how he worded his comment, and I don't know what his mind state was and what his intentions were behind saying that. But what I will say is this: Cash Money, when he won the 1987 New Music Seminar Battle for World Supremacy, when he won the 1988 new DMC, I will bet anyone $100 right now that within a week or two of winning those competitions, he was party rocking in Philly.
Right.
You know, it's not either or. at least for me, it's everything together. You know what I mean? And I started out DJing. Excuse me. I started out DJing my junior high school dance. Then I went from that to DJing my friends' house parties because they saw me DJing the dance. Then I went to making mixtapes. From making mixtapes for my friends, I went to competing. After I competed, I started touring with Akinelli, and I was his backup DJ. And I laid scratches for dudes like Fat Joe in the studio for his first album, Represent. Then I toured as a DJ. Like, I did a lot of different things. And it's not about either you're a club DJ or you're a battle DJ. There's so many more aspects of this art form. Why is it that people limit themselves to one or two things? You know what I mean? Like, I never understood that. Even with battles, like, a lot of battle DJs aspire to win a battle. They win the battle, and they do one of two things. They retire, and then you never hear from them ever again. Or they enter the following year's battle, and then they win again, and then they enter the following year's battle. And then they win, and then they enter the following year's battle. And then they lose, and then they enter the following year's battle. It's like, dude, like, there's more to DJing. There's more to this art form than winning a battle every year. Like, you're missing out on some amazing experiences, i.e., recording scratches in the studio, working with artists, touring, DJing at a club, DJing on the radio. Like, there's so many things that you could do. And I just feel like a lot of the current era battle DJs limit themselves to just battling. Aladdin, Cash Money, Jazzy Jeff, Steve D, myself, Rock Raider, Mr. Sinister, Babu, Melody, all these guys, Craze, 8-Track, all these guys experience DJing from multiple areas, not just one area, i.e. battling. All of us have toured. All of us have worked with artists. All of us have worked in the studio. And the more you do, the more you grow. You know what I mean? So anyone that thinks DJing is just you're either in the club or you're in the club competing against other dudes is missing out on some amazing experiences.
Agreed. By the way, I don't know, OG Arabian Prince in the house. I don't know if you're in lurk mode or not, but thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Let's talk a little bit. And by the way, I think DJ Scarlett, I think she might have been one of your
Scarlett. She's a beast. What up, Scarlett?
She really is, and she's turning it up on Twitch too. By the way, I know people have been asking, do you have a Twitch at all?
No, I don't.
I know you have IG, and you can be found.
My girlfriend has a Twitch. Big shout to Dilly. She's in London right now, chilling with her family. I'm gonna see her next week. But yeah, Dilly, she has a Twitch, and she doesn't stream on it, or she hasn't streamed on it yet. As far as streaming is concerned, I think it's dope. I think it's a creative, resourceful way to reach people, especially now that we're on lockdown pretty much still, and COVID has us all indoors and we can't necessarily DJ out at clubs. I think it's cool. Me personally, I'm not really one to like schedule weekly time to like jump on Instagram or any other kind of social media to like DJ for people. It's just not something that like I do. I'm not against it. I have went live in the past. I've done some shows for Toca Tuesdays, Tony Touch. My girl and I have streamed for the Colombian Embassy in Bogota, Colombia.
Wow.
We did a stream for the embassy in Tajikistan. And it's fun. It's a cool way to reach people. but I'm not really one to necessarily want to do that weekly. That's like a lot of work right there, man. And it's not to say that like I'm against it, but I also record music. You know, I put out albums. I'm into production, as you can see. Like I got like my production gear there.
Yeah, I see that.
So, you know, I like to spend time doing other things and not just DJing that revolve around music. Sometimes I'll just sit in the studio and just play music. You know what I mean? So Twitch is dope though, and I'm glad that that platform exists.
We need an avenue that exists for us since there is no other option.
Right.
A couple of shots out real quick. DJ Spider in the house. Good to see you, fam. We got Melody, obviously. Scratch Bastard in the house. Thanks for hanging out today, fam. Hey, man, I want to get you on. I'm saying it's live and on chat. So I want to get you on here. ASAP, man. Okay, so let's move back a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about the X-Ecutioners and, everything that came to be. But before we move into that, let me just drop on another clip. I'm all about the Scratch documentary. So hold on, guys, and we'll be right back.
Mr. Sinister representing the X-Ecutioners from Queens, New York.
Word. Representing Brooklyn Total Eclipse.
Rob Swift. Rob Swift.
Fuck later from Manhattan, representing the X.
Sometimes you just bump into different things that might sound good. Like, that's what it is freestyling. So right now, we was freestyling. We doing one thing that sounded really good. So we figured we could probably incorporate it into something else that we doing.
Word.
You know? All good ideas happen by accident, man.
Ready?
Yeah.
Check out.
No, those three were good. Just go for the after the third one. You got to do the end.
The last one.
The last brown feeling, right? To do the last.
Once you
feeling.
do it, you get burn, burn.
Huh?
No, like how you, how you said burn.
What we're trying to figure out is how to record music in a way that'll come off similar to the way a regular band would play music. So it could start off with one kick and snare, and it'll evolve into something big.
Looking for a style like that, you can't.
The first thing I will say is nothing sounds like a Vestax. The click of the Vestax is you can hear that thing a mile away.
That's so true.
So you joined, and I should say founded. I mean, tell me how the group came to be, because you joined in '91. Okay, but it used to be, it was the X-Men at one time at the beginning. It was the X-Men, and then you moved over to X-Ecutioners. Just curious, did Marvel come after you, or was it just a preventative? Let's change this now before we get into trouble.
It was preventative. We were advised by our lawyers at the time to change the name because we were about to release an album under the moniker X-Men, and they were like, "Oof, you guys are like really pushing it, and you might have to deal with a cease and desist with regards to your group name. So why not just get ahead of it and change the name. So we changed it to the X-Ecutioners. But the origins are 1988, Steve D, Sean C founded the group. Steve D lived in the St. Nicholas area of Harlem, and he was friends with a guy named Johnny Cash. Sean C lived in the 112th and Lenox sort of area of Harlem, and he was friends with Rock Raider, rest in peace. So Sean C and Steve D had the relationship, and then each guy brought his friend into the fold, and it became a foursome. And originally, if you know anything about our history, you'll know that the intent behind forming the X-Men was to battle another popular,
the Superman.
Yeah, popular, progressive, really dope DJ crew called the Supermen. And the Supermen, for those that weren't around back then and may not be familiar with the name, their front guy was oh shit, hold on a second. My battery is at 20%, so let's see how much. All right.
Gotcha.
I'll let you know when it's at 10.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so the front guy of the Supermen was a guy named Clark Kent. And you may not be, not you, but you guys out there may not be familiar with the name, but this guy is a pillar in hip hop as far as DJing, production. Clark Kent produced stuff for Jay-Z, B.I.G. I mean, the list goes on. DJ Scratch, Richie Rich, Tone Be Nimble, Plastic Man, Aladdin was in the Supermen. So Steve, Sean, Raider, and Johnny wanted to compete against them to make a name for themselves. It's that typical guy shit, man. Like, yo, I'm in high school. How do I get popular? Beat up the most popular kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so the X-Men were like, yo, man, let's battle the Supermen. A battle never took place, though. So Steve D and the rest of the guys started entering organized competitions. And that's how they met up with other guys that they felt were like-minded DJs. And in 1990, they inducted Diamond J, Exotic E, rest in peace. In 1991, they met up with me at the 91 DMC, and they put myself and Dr. Butcher down. In 1993, we put Mr. Sinister down. And then in 1996, right after winning the ITF battle, we put Total Eclipse down because he won that battle, and we just felt like he earned his stripes. So, and around that time was when we signed to Asphodel Records, and we released our first single as the X-Men, and then the Asphodel label, they sicked their lawyers on us, and they were like, yo, you guys are going to have to change the name. So we changed the name to the X-Ecutioners. But that's how that whole situation ended up to being the X-Ecutioners.
So it's interesting because you guys, I guess you became kind of a full force right around that time, 91, 92. But when did you release your first album? How far after that did you release it?
The first X-Ecutioners album dropped in 1997, and it was called Expressions. And we released it on Asphodel Records. And the album was just critically acclaimed, celebrated in the underground, and it made so much noise. You know, these 4 black kids from New York City who DJ'd for other established artists like Akinelli, Showbiz and AG, Common, Organized Confusion, are now making their own album with their own MCs. And it's an album that focuses on the turntable, not a guy rapping, but what these 4 kids are doing on turntables as DJs. And it just blew up. And so other companies, record companies, wanted to sign the group from there. And a lot of people don't know this, man, but Rick Rubin, the legend, the guy responsible for artists like LL Cool J, Beastie Boys. I mean, Black Crows. He produced Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood, Sex, Sugar Magic. I mean, Rick Rubin, dude, wanted to sign the X-Ecutioners after we released Expressions, and we were about to sign with him, but Sean C., who's an original member of the X-Men, by this time was an A&R at Loud Records, and Raider mentioned to Sean C., yo, man, Rick Rubin's about to sign the group. And Sean was like, word, I can't let that happen. I'm going to get you guys to sign with Loud. And he set up a deal with us to sign with Loud, and we ended up going to Loud, and we released our, I guess, most acclaimed album, Built from Scratch. And on it, we featured a song called It's Going Down with Linkin Park. Yeah, rest in peace to Chester Bennington. Static X, rest in peace, who also passed away. He was in the music video for the song, and then we just blew up, man. And that album, man, just really helped us etch our names in the record books as far as like what this art form is about. And just hearing myself talk about it, man, like I'm so thankful to God, because I grew up, man, just admiring cats like Grand Mixer DST for the work that he did with Herbie Hancock on Rocket.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you watch the movie Scratch, like DST is referenced from beginning to end. I grew up admiring dudes like Jam Master Jay and what he did with Run DMC and Aerosmith, Walk This Way. Like, these guys were breaking ground and introducing DJing to different genres and different people, you know, like, and to be a part of that, you know, to then in the 2000s record a song like It's Going Down with Linkin Park and have a music video on MTV and tour to places like Lincoln, Nebraska. Like, if you would have told me at age 12, when I finished DJing my first party at my junior high school, that I was going to tour with a platinum rap rock group and hit places like Lincoln, Nebraska, I would have not believed you. But we did that, man. So I'm just thankful, man. We've had an amazing run, and it continues, man. Even to this day, the stuff that I'm doing as a solo artist, I just released an album called The Cure earlier this year with my boy DMT. Also released an album called Against All Odds. Right.
The Odd Couple. Yeah.
With The Odd Couple. Big shout to Mr. Sinister, Dr. Butcher, CJ Moore. It's like I'm still doing this, man. And it's amazing. Like, I'm pinching myself right now because it's just such an amazing ride I've had. And I'm just thankful. And, you know, I'm paying bills, dude. I'm putting food on the table from this amazing art, like this ability to scratch a record back and forth and beat juggle and play music for people. It's like, it's like a mind fuck when you think about it, man.
I think it's even more of a mind fuck considering that, didn't you get your degree in psychology?
Yeah, I graduated with a degree in psychology from Baruch College. And I thought I was going to be a therapist, man. I thought I was going to be, you know, in an office somewhere in Manhattan with a couch, listening to someone complain to me about their problems. And what I ended up doing was applying that psychology to my DJing. And I haven't looked back, you know, and I'm sitting in an apartment that I own that I paid for earlier this year, based off fucking royalties from albums and scratching on people's songs and touring. And it's crazy, dude. It's a mind fuck, man. And I'm just thankful and super grateful, man. And like, I honestly know I wouldn't have made it this far without having faith in God and faith in myself, trusting, you know, DJing is an incredible art, you know, with regards to the techniques and all the stuff that you learn. But the journey of DJing Like if you're really serious about it, it'll humble you, man. Sometimes it'll scare the fuck out of you. You know, like 1 month you could have $200 in the bank and look at your calendar and it's empty and not know whether you are going to DJ another party again. And I know a lot of people are dealing with it now with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I feel like when you have faith in God and you trust every step you're taking, and if you're doing things from a genuine perspective, not just for the money or not just for the fame, but you just love doing this and you love interacting with people and you love sharing your music with people and inspiring people, then you become like a source for more of that. And then you just gain momentum and you keep moving forward. And I'm sure, you know, Melody, if he's still on, Scratch Bastard, any of the guys that are the pillars of what DJing is today that are doing it and putting food on the table and feeding their families off this now that are out there, I'm sure will vouch for me. You know, it's like, it's you just got to trust, man, and just take it one day at a time and just take a step at a time and establish some sound goals, practice, be good, separate yourself from what everyone else is doing. And yeah, man, that's what I've done. And so just hearing myself talk about the X-Ecutioners and all that, that was so long ago. And to think I'm still here, it's just like, man, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned, and I wasn't sure we were going to have time. Don't forget about the ESPN contracts.
Yeah.
ESPN.
Dude. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. Whoever that was, fuck, man. I was in 2012, ESPN hired me to DJ on a sports talk show. And I'm on this show Monday through Friday playing music, scoring the show. It was an hour show. And I'm scoring it from beginning to end while they talk about the Jets and the Denver Broncos.
It's called Unite, right?
Yeah, it was called Unite. Like that, I'm just listening to myself, dude. Like, that really happened, yo. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And, you know, and my first gig was me DJing for my junior high school, the dance, junior high school. And then I do shit like that. And then I interact with artists like Herbie Hancock in the studio and Bob James, and the X-Ecutioners do Aerosmith Icon on MTV, and we're cutting Aerosmith records for Steven Tyler and the rest of the band. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, again, faith in God. That's really what it boils down to, man. So all those DJs out there that like are making it about learning the quadruple flare, behind the back orbit, offset backspin, under the leg beat juggle at 1,000 miles per hour. No, there's more to DJing than that. So much more. There's more to DJing than winning a battle. Trust me. Trust me. There's so much more to DJing. And hopefully hearing me talk about my story inspires people to go after it, man, and not just limit themselves to posting a 60-second video on IG and thinking, all right, I got 1,000 likes. Like, there's so much more.
I'm there.
You know, yeah, there's so much more to it, man. Yo, and by the way, I'm at 10%. If you want, I could connect my charger, but it means I'm gonna have to take the buds off.
No, I think we're good. 10% will give us, you know, I think we're okay.
Cool.
But as you were mentioning, you know, learning, teaching, all of those things, we can't forget about this thing.
What's up? This is DJ Rob Swift. You're at Scratch DJ Academy in New York City, and we're going to teach you about forward and backward.
Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward and backward. Forward backward.
Yes.
Now, that was on Sesame Street.
Teaching kids
the
concept of forward and backwards via scratching. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
I'm trying to understand how you even got invited to that. How does that even happen?
At the time, I was teaching at a school called the Scratch DJ Academy. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar
There's
with the Scratch
New York
DJ
and
Academy.
LA.
Yeah, one of the first schools, to devote the curriculum or focus on the curriculum of DJing. And I used to teach there, and somehow the connect between them and Sesame Street came, and I was tapped to be the guy to teach kids how to understand the concept of moving forward and backwards. Again, more mind fucks like Sesame Street. I grew up as a kid watching that, and to know that, to this day, I get DMs on IG, I get inboxed on Facebook, people that have followed my career that now have kids. Yo, Rob, my kid, my 2-year-old, my 3-year-old was watching you on Sesame Street. She or he was glued to the TV. Yo, man, this is incredible. Like, I grew up watching you. Now my offspring are watching you. Like, it's crazy, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, agreed. I want to, obviously, look, we've been on for a while now, and this has been amazing, but I want to leave people on a high, because I know that there's a lot of DJs out there, or up and coming DJs, people that want to get into the craft, but maybe they're a little older. Maybe they wanted to do it when they were younger and something came up, they had family life, and now they're like, okay, this is the time for me to do this. Can you give advice to older DJs that are trying to get into the game right now? Is it even something they should do?
Yes. Do what you want to do, bro. Like, we're here for a limited amount of time on this big rock we call Earth. And if you want to DJ and you're 50 years old, DJ. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, make sure that you're honoring your responsibilities, whether you're married and you have a wife and kids and you got to bring home the bread, or if you live alone and you're 50 but you're bored and you have nothing to do and maybe you want to DJ but you live alone and you still have bills, you have rent to pay, or whatever the case is. Honor your responsibilities, but be true to yourself, man. And we're here but for so long, and why not do something that makes you happy? And DJing has made me happy. I know that. And it keeps me young. And I have, a lot to thank DJing for. Just do it, dude. Do it. Have fun. I have a colleague of mine, my boy JF, who I call him a colleague, but he started out as a student. But he's actually a really good, dear friend of mine. He's all three, I guess. But he started out taking lessons from me, and I believe at the time he was like 48 years old, and he's like 50 now, and he has like a legit job, a house in New Jersey, a wife, kids, you know what I'm saying? But he DJs on the side, and he posts his little videos of him cutting. He's gonna compete next year in the DMC. We've been training we've been training now for like a good 4 years. But he still does this. Why not? And anyone that is married to someone that's on the older side that wants to DJ, support them, encourage them. You know what I mean? Like, what would you rather? Your husband or your boyfriend indoors DJing, being creative, or out at bars hanging out with his friends? You know what I mean? Like, DJing is such a cool art because it keeps you indoors and it keeps you focused on goals and learning. And when you do that, you just stimulate your mind. And when you're done DJing, you're just in this good mood. Like, you're happy, you're more open. You know what I'm saying? So anyone that's on the older side that wants to learn this art form, it's never too late.
I think that's excellent. Excellent. Now, I want to mention Don Cannon. Donald Cannon was actually the one that brought up the whole controller thing. So, Donald, it was the first thing we talked about in this episode. So go back to the beginning after the show's over, and we spend a lot of time talking about that. So check it out. You'll be great. All right. So while I think Swift is putting in his charger, if we have any questions before we end, throw them in the chat right now. Throw them in the chat if you have any questions for Rob, and we'll try to answer some of those while we're here, and then we'll head off. I feel good after a stream. It's all right, Donald. No big deal. No big deal. So if anybody has any questions, now is the time to ask. We're opening it up to the chat. Okay, well, that's easy. Universal Will says how long you've been at it, and we know. So you started what you didn't mention when you said your father let you borrow his equipment for the prom or whatever, the formal. Your dad was a DJ.
Yeah, my dad was. My dad was a DJ, and my older brother was also a DJ, and that was my first example of what DJing is. Controlling a room full of people via music, via sound waves. It was my brother and my dad, and as a little kid, you just want to follow in the footsteps of the adult males. In my case, being a male, I had my examples of what it meant to be an older person and do cool things. And I wanted to be like the older people around me that did cool things, i.e. my father and my brother. So I'm glad I made that choice. What's interesting is when I told my dad that I was going to take this on seriously, he wasn't supportive. I think the inclination for people is, oh, your dad inspired you? Wow, he must be so supportive. But his thing was always go to school, get your degree, stop messing around with that music. Where is that going to take you? But I guess I proved him wrong. You know what I mean? And maybe for him, it wasn't the route to go. Maybe for my brother, it wasn't the route to go. But for me, I knew it was. And I'm glad I stood focused on that goal of just being the best DJ that I could be and reaching people, because I wouldn't be here today talking to you.
Gotcha. Shortcut asks, are we bringing back the X Factor?
And short. All right, so hold on. I'm gonna put my buds on for this because it's a little charged. And before I answer that question, I gotta make sure that there's good audio, because this is a really cool backstory that Shortcut just brought up. So I'm just gonna unplug this here. All right, so X Factor is or was a super group of DJs that featured members of the top DJs from the 90s era. And this is just unsaid fact, or fun fact, I should say, that we really don't talk about much in public. But Short's in the chat, and I'm glad he brought it up. Short, myself, Rock Raider, Mr. Sinister, Cupmaster Swift, DJ Pogo, those two guys are from London. We were going to have, I think, Babu, and I forget who else, but we were going to have this super group of DJs and call ourselves X Factor, because although we were in different crews, we all loved each other, and we still do. And yeah, man, we just wanted to do something that featured members of each crew, and that was X Factor. So Short, I'm still down. I think the culture would love something like that. I think, honestly, Short, man, I think it's a shame that we haven't figured our shit out as a collective and have done more things as one movement. Like the last time the X-Men performed with the Invisible Scratch Pickles, I believe it was 2016 2017, 2016, 2017, around then. It's 2016, I think, at the in New York City. I forgot the name of the venue. And that was fun. And we need to do something like that and do it consistently. And I know that we're all scattered around in different parts of the country, man, but all of us have a little more money now in the bank. Our names are bigger, and there's no reason why we can't figure out a way to do something that involves the different crews and on a big scale, man. So hopefully we could do something like that in the future.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Check One Two. That's my company coming on board. So thank you guys for hanging out today. So I've seen this question a couple times now. How do we get one-on-one lessons, and or is there a website or something that people can go to?
If you want one-on-one lessons with me, just hit me up on social media. Look me up on Instagram at Brolic Arm, BROLICARM. You could also visit my Brolic Army page. Just put a Y at the end. You can hit me up on Facebook. A lot of people follow me on YouTube and study my tutorials and then message me via email there. My girl and I, big shout to Dilly. She's chilling right now in London. I'll see her next week for Christmas. We are working on something pretty big for the new year regarding the Brolic Army and my teaching. I'm not going to get into details right now, but we're going to work on something together that's going to create more access for people to my concepts of DJing. So stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Husky asks, how did you tour in the vinyl era? You brought your own vinyl or got them once you got to the destination? I'm going to assume you had to bring your own because it's all labeled and marked off and everything.
No, back in the golden era, before, laptops and Serato boxes, we would tour with our records, crates of records, and our turntables sometimes, and check them on the plane and pray that they would make the final destination safely. That's how we toured.
Gotcha.
And sometimes if we were asked to do like a 30-minute showcase, we would just tour with like a fat stack of records in a cool record bag. And our shoulders would be super sore by the time we got to the plane, let alone traveling with it to whatever city or country. But we knew no better. And at the time, that's what you did. And no one complained. And we just did it. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that I'm from that era, man, because, I earned my stripes. I paid my dues. And now when I look back on my career and the things that I went through to just DJ and
looks like we lost the man. I wonder if his phone died. We'll have to see. I think he wanted to finish that conversation. So we're not gonna end just yet. We're gonna wait for him to check back on because that's what we do here. We have time. We're all family. We're all friends. We're all hanging out. So let's see if he gets back on. We'll give him 3 to 5 minutes. While we're waiting, because I can't answer any of his questions, if you have any questions for me, now is the time to put those up. But if he doesn't come back, then we'll end it. But I think he's going to try to get back here. I'm a little jealous because the arms, I can't do a side by side with him because his arms. I think if I put both my arms together, maybe I'd have his arms. But yeah. So okay, so let's see if we have any questions down here. Who inspired me? I'm inspired by a lot of people. But my favorites, the people that I always tend to always kind of go back to, they kind of match more of my style, is like the Jazzy Jeffs. Scratch Bastard is on here. I'm a big fan of Scratch Bastard. He kills it every time. So, and he's just, good people too. So, but I have so many. I've never been one of those kind of, all I do is one thing. Same thing with music, like in musical production or music that I listen to. People say, who's your favorite artist? I'm just like, I like everything. And I find strength in everything I look at. Okay, Rob's coming back on. So, and I find strength in everything I look at. So I never really have like my favorite, because it's typically like, I like this part of this person, and then I like this part of this person, and I pull them all together and, you know, make my whatever sound that I have. So, you know, it's always, it's an interesting concept. Let's see here. Local DJs I looked up to, in all honesty, I have so many local DJs that I have always loved. I mean, because, you know, especially like I'm down with, you know, DJ City, you know, and Beat Junkies people. So like I am always experiencing like amazing people. But some of my favorites are people that you don't even know, like DJ Unique, who DJs on here at noon. In all honesty, he's like one of the dopest DJs musically that I know. And I don't think that it gets represented in his streams, but like if you ever caught him at a show where he was DJing at a spot, destroys it every time. So, you know, I'm a big fan of just people that aren't just DJing the same way. That's always been my thing. Like if you're going to do something, be different, you know, find your sound. Like when I produce music, yes, I love specific types of music. I love the boom bap. I love the new stuff. But when I started to make my music, I incorporated everything, the boom bap element, rock elements, jazz elements, classical elements. And then that sound is where, you know, my sound kind of exists in between all of those things. And if you're a DJ, the same thing should apply. You should be pulling from everybody, and then your sound will just come up. Nothing worse than you sounding like somebody else. So all of the people that I respect, all the people that I look up to, don't sound like anyone else. They just sound like themselves. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. All right, he said he's logging on, so I know he's coming on in just a second. So just hang tight, people. Hang tight. But yeah, so Scratch, thanks for hanging out today, fam. Big, mad props for Scratch. Hey man, I'm a DM you, so look out for my DM, because I do want to get you on here. If I think that would be a great show too. So, you know, look out for my DM. Okay, I see Rob in the chat now, or at least in the green room. So let's bring him back.
Yo.
All right, there we go.
More about that.
It's all right. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. So I forget what we were talking about. The question you were answering.
I was talking about traveling with gear, equipment.
Okay.
Stuff. And yeah, man, I traveled with whatever I needed for that gig. If it was a Creative Records, it would be a Creative Records. If I had to bring turntables and a mixer, I'd bring the turntables and a mixer. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted to gig out and perform. So
yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if there's any more people that have questions. I got to scroll back up again. Let's see here. I'm not going to answer that one because I have no idea who that guy comes from. All right. Let's see if there's anybody else, since I had to jump up since they came to me. Oh, real quick. When am I doing another film-inspired DJ set? Yeah, I'm working on one right now. I kind of put it to the side. For all of you that don't know, especially when I wasn't using the ATEM and I was using the OBS, I would make movie DJ sets. So basically, I did one with The Matrix. So I literally took The Matrix movie, cut it up, green screened all the points that I wanted to do, set up the loops, and then my entire show was the entire movie. So just cut up and flow through. It's a lot of work to do that, like a lot of work. but I do want to do another one. I have one in mind right now that it's just been sitting there, so I want to do that. Let's see here. It's anybody else? I have to go back up because it was a minute ago. Okay. Bobby Banger says, what was the hardest thing you had to learn as a DJ?
Big shout to Bobby Bangers, Hardbanger. Oh man, wow. Let's see. I think the biggest thing that I had to learn as a DJ was how to tap into my own creativity. That's definitely the biggest thing, because DJing technically is something that you could learn through observation. I call it observational learning. So historically, from day one, you had someone like a Grandmaster Flash do something in the park, and then a kid saw Grandmaster Flash do that thing on Take Me to Mardi Gras or Love Rap. And then they buy the record, go home, and recall, what is it that I saw Flash do again? How did he? Oh, yeah, all right. He moved the record back and forth. He dropped it at this spot of the record. And through trial and error, you practice. And because you observe, you kind of retain that, and then you apply it. But a lot of DJs never get past that. You know, a lot of DJs, they are showing you or exhibiting techniques that are someone else's, and they don't personalize. So I think tapping into my own creativity and understanding how to take a move that I saw someone do, because at the end of the day, we all learn from each other, and personalize it and morph it into Rob Swift's rhythm, Rob Swift's style. I think that was the hardest thing. And, you know, that's not something that you could teach. You have to dig deep inside yourself and find that creativity that makes you different from someone else. So Bobby Bangers asks a really important question, because the majority of DJs, to be honest with you, are just regurgitating techniques that they've seen other people do, whether it's on social media or live. But the ones that stand out, the Cuberts, the D-Styles, the Shortcuts, the 8-tracks, the DJ Crazes, are the ones that personalize. Bobby Bangers, man, he's a dope DJ too. He's from the New England area. And earlier in 2020, myself, Harry Allen, the media assassin for Public Enemy, and a bunch of DJs, Bobby Bangers being one of them, put together this really cool concept called Harbinger. And Harbinger is basically Harry Allen's brainchild, I like to say. And he basically wanted to figure out a way to approach a multiple DJ setup like an orchestra. And I have video on YouTube. If you go on my YouTube page, you can see video of the performance. It was amazing, man. And Bobby Bangers and his crew killed it. And so that's a way of being creative too. You know what I mean? Like vibing out with other DJs. Sometimes when you practice with someone else, they help you tap into something in you that for whatever reason you haven't on your own. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was really cool. Yeah, that was cool to see all those guys work together, train together. They composed all these different pieces. It was a sold out event. There had to be, I want to say, like, no lie, like 600 to 700 people, if not more, just taking in this experience of like these DJs going crazy. And they were all like sectioned out different spots of the room. It's really sick. Go on my YouTube page. It's really dope.
All right. Okay. What is your favorite cutting and scratching on a record? So I guess what's your default scratches that you kind of go to? And by the way, OG Arabian Prince in the house. Thank you for hanging out, bro. See, I can't tell if he's thinking or if it's frozen. Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
Okay.
So my go-to scratches, I love the transformer. I feel like of all the scratches, that to me is sort of like the nucleus, the scratch that ties every move you do with the fader and the record hand. It's very musical. It's not overly technical. So yeah, the transformer. I love the stab. The stab is an important scratch because it teaches you how to like generate strength, maintain your endurance. Sometimes when you're scratching for a long time, your arm gets tired and you get pain. You want to stop. The stab is a good scratch to practice to help your arms, I guess, sustain that stress of holding a scratch for a certain amount of time. The chirp is really dope. That's a scratch I go to a lot in my solos. I would say those three. Those three are my favorite.
Gotcha. All right, and DJ Flows asks, phase versus needles.
Needles, all day. I mean, obviously,
I knew that was going to be the answer.
You guys know my philosophy about that, and I think whoever asked that question just wanted me to say that so that everyone else could hear. But nah, man, needles, dude, needles. You need to experience what it is to make this thing skip, and recover. Needles help you develop a certain touch on turntables that you can't get on a pair of Rain 12s or CDJs or controllers. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to scratch on a controller, or if that's all you have, that you shouldn't bother learning. But what I'm saying is there's a touch. DJs that start on turntables all know what I'm talking about. There's a certain touch that you got to have when you place your hand on the record. And I've noticed that a lot of DJs, even students of mine that start on controllers or CDJs,
heavy-handed,
that try to learn how to DJ on turntables, they're doofy, for lack of a better word. Like their mechanics are not sound, and they go to do a scratch and the tone arm literally jumps off the record because they're too heavy-handed.
Right.
There's a touch that you got to have, and you could only generate that experiencing a needle on a record rotating on a turntable platter. So for me, needles all day. Once you master whatever scratch techniques you want to master, once you learn how to drop on a one and backspin and mix and all that, then by all means get the phase, because then that touch never goes away. And instinctively, you just apply those same kind of instincts that you would even if you're using a phase. You're still using that touch on the record. So you just look right, you sound right, and you're just not all over the place smacking the turntables, not even realizing it because you're on relative mode in Serato.
Right. Right. That's true. Every so often, because I use phase, because it's quarantine. I'm not trying to buy too many needles right now. It was a little hard to come by for a minute. But every time I go back to my needles and I just put my hand on the record, I'm like, oh man, I see the needle jump. I'm like, I forgot. You got to be so sensitive with your vinyl and your needles. It's just one of those things that you forget when you stop using them for a while. That's probably one of my biggest things when I see DJs nowadays and, they're scratching and they're using the 12s and I'm watching their hands, and I don't claim to be, I'm nowhere close to you, but I'm watching their hands and I'm just sitting there like, if there was a needle on that thing, there's no way they could do these things because it's overly aggressive. If you watch any real good, great DJs with needles, this hand is super, super soft on that platter. It just may look like they're doing more. So it definitely puts a lot of weaker DJs on a higher platter by using the phase and by using the 12s. Like you can make yourself sound better than you really are.
And another thing is this. All right, let's just say you're a young person today that wants to DJ. You see it in the award shows, the DJ's in the back looking cool. You log on to your Instagram app and you're being fed all these cool DJ videos and you're like, man, I want to do that. But I'm not going to spend the money that it takes to get turntables, and they're clunky and heavy, so I'm just going to get some light controllers. And you get the controllers. Now you have the gear. You have the laptop, you have the MP3s, you have the controller at home. And you want inspiration. You want to learn how to do what Rob Swift does, what Jazzy Jeff does, what Cash Money does, what Craze does, what A-Track does. And then you start searching, you start doing your homework, and you're on YouTube and you're looking at the videos, and you realize all of these DJs who I admire to be like are all using in these videos, these archived videos of them winning competitions and performing in these gritty hip hop clubs with 500 people roaring at everything that they're doing. They're using turntables. So now you have this controller that you're staring at home, and you're thinking, damn, well, that's what I want to be like, but I'm not using the tools of the trade that the guys that I want to be like used. So what happens is you end up going back to Guitar Center and getting the turntables anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many students I have that start off on controllers, come to my house, and then they leave and they're like, yo, give me the number to that spot that sells the used turntables again, because I'm going to go buy turntables. It's like they leave and they realize, like, wow, like, if I really want to do this and connect with the music the way I see the guys that I look up to connect with the music, I might as well get the gear that they use, you know? So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Needles all day for me.
Gotcha. Okay, so Shortcut asks, with the new style and techniques of battle DJs, what do you look for when you judge a DJ battle?
The things that I look for when I judge a DJ battle are originality, because, again, you could learn through observational learning, but at a battle, I want to see you articulate these techniques that you've learned in a way that's personal to you. Otherwise, you're just regurgitating. And, you know, you could be a copycat or you could be an innovator. And to me, we need innovators to help push the art. So originality, creativity is important. And I guess that's sort of like connected to originality. You want to do things that people are not doing in DJ battles. That helps you stand out. I know I prided myself on that when I was coming up competing, and Dr. Butcher would not let me do anything that was already done. He'd be like, yo, such and such already did that, you know? And when you do that, Rob, you're going to be compared to such and such. So why not sit down and figure out a way to learn what such and such did, but add on your own personality to it, your own take, your own twist. So creativity is important. And then obviously accuracy. You want to land your routines in a way that are digestible. You could be creative, but if you're sloppy, it might be difficult for me to understand the creation. So the way you present it to be seamless. And degree of technicality, difficulty also matters. You know, if you're up there doing easy shit, to me, that's not worthy of being a champion. Like, you got to do shit that takes these techniques that we all know to the next level. So you want to be technical, but tasteful at the same time, and make sure that whatever you do is funky at the end of the day. And I know Shortcut would vouch for that. You know, funky, musical, melodic, digestible. When you're battling, you got to think of it like an hour set at a house party condensed into 6 minutes, but you're also showing skill.
Right. All right. So, Professor BX, that's my dude Drew, says, I respect you more than you could know, but I have to ask, considering that it is amazingly difficult to get real vinyl and the music from our generation and not theirs, how do you justify asking students to start with DVS, etc.?
I appreciate the question. Look, record stores still exist. Maybe not as much. You know, you may not find a record store on every corner like you used to back in the day, but record stores do exist. Now, yes, it's expensive now because there's less of that. You know what I mean? Like you can't just go to 5 different record stores in one borough in New York City anymore. Like pretty much it's vintage record spots that DJs have access to. And there might be 1 or 2 in a neighborhood, if you're lucky, in Manhattan, let's say, right? So they are more expensive, but gear was expensive when I was coming up. And you had to buy more shit when I was coming up. Like today, you could buy 2 turntables, a mixer, and a speaker that has a power amp built in and be good, right? In my day, you had, and not to sound like that old guy in my day, you know, get off my lawn type shit. But when I was coming up, you had to buy the turntables, the needles, the records, the slip mats, the mixers, the speakers, the speaker wires, the amplifier, the tape deck. Like now you have apps and all this shit that like condenses all that. But back then, man, you had to spend a lot more money than you have to now, believe it or not, on equipment. But we figured out a way, whether it was working a side job or if you were fortunate enough to have parents that could save up and give you allowance money. Eventually you buy the equipment, even if it meant getting the gear little by little. I think a lot of people, man, now are spoiled, man, straight up. You know,
gotta have it all at once.
Right, exactly. Like, let me circle back to earlier in our interview. Rock Raider made the decision to start DJing
Okay. I'm sure he will finish that.
Yeah.
There he is.
So
I feel like you went with your iPhone into the basement.
It is. Am I there? Am I still freezing?
You're there. So you're still freezing. I can hear you. The audio's fine now, but your audio was cutting out a second ago. But you don't look as crispy as you did before. You know, now you look like a Van Gogh painting.
Oh, sorry, dude.
It's all right. You're
really
good.
Oh, shit. Well, I'll just say real quick, if you guys can hear me, because fuck what I look like. It's about what I'm saying. Rock Raider started out with no gear. He had no turntables, no mixer, no records, and he made the decision to DJ. And about 15 years later, after making that decision, he won the World DMC title. Like, you don't need to have everything at once to start this journey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know DST had access to one turntable when he decided to start DJing because he was poor. He couldn't afford all that gear in one shot. And I remember he would tell me that he would just sit there and turn the turntable on and just look at it and stare at it and watch the platter rotate and just be patient until he could get all the equipment. And DST is a pillar now of this art form. So, you could take the economical route and get the controller that's $200, $300. But I don't know. If you're gonna do this, man, and you want to be great and you want to stand out, you got to exercise patience and be willing to learn the organic way on organic analog equipment.
Mm-hmm. Art One Funkbox says, I love the interview, but we cannot ignore technology. And I think I can probably answer this. It's not about ignoring the technology. It's about understanding the foundations, because the technology is only there to help you do what was once may have taken multiple steps to do. It's just minimizing those steps. But as soon as it replaces you walking, then it's no longer about the craft anymore. So we're just saying utilize the technology, but know your skill sets, know your craft. So in case something were to happen, you can still perform. I think that's what we're saying, because I love all the technology that comes out. The scratch bank that they just brought out on the S11 and now the Rain 72 and the 70, that is one of those things that as a DJ is amazing. The fact that you can load in all your scratches and all your stuff and be able to get to them on the fly. I mean, that's technology being used to help the DJ. So if it's not replacing the DJ, it's just helping the DJ. So when I see Scratch Bank, I'm like, that's a plus. When I see fader effects and I hit a button and it performs a simulated crossfader, cut, I don't want that. That's not progressing the culture. So all we're saying is, use the technology, but also know where it came from. That's
exactly.
All.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. And I don't know why that seems to not be received by some people. Like they like you just said a mouthful there, but for some people they magnify one word or two words, and usually it's I rather use turntables. So they kind of hone in on that, and then they form this argument against you about, your mentality is old, you're not keeping up with technology. And I'm not saying, if you look at my apartment, I have nothing but technology. In my apartment, I have all kind of stuff. Like, I love gear. I'm a geek when it comes to that stuff. But if you want to learn how to solve a math equation, I'd be doing you a disservice if I taught you on a calculator, because you're not doing half the work. All you're doing is taking your finger and punching in numbers and then hitting equal. And then the calculator's giving you the answer. I'd be a better teacher if I gave you a pen and a pencil. A pencil and a pad and said, here's 2 + 2. Here's how you figure that out. Here's how you solve that equation. And once you learn that, and you could have a mental appreciation for how to solve a math problem, by all means, then I'll give you the calculator, because you've learned the work. That's all we're saying. You know what I mean? And for some people, they just miss that, and they want to hone in on, you're not keeping up with technology and this and that. And it's like, dude, you're not getting it,
Okay, so Art Funk Box came back with another retort, and it says, so do we work harder or smarter? This is actually a very good question. Yeah, because look, I run a DJ business, and my DJ business, we have DJs, MCs, dancers, lighting, photo booths, all of these things that a client can purchase to be used on their event. All right. Now, I can sign up all these things and then bring in the DJ, bring in the MC, have a lighting company do the lighting, and I pay them on their own. Okay. Or I can do it all myself. Now, the difference here is, if I hire somebody to do that job, if they tell me, oh, sorry, something came up, we can't do the work, I can still turn around and do that job. So the working smarter part is me saying, hey, I'm going to delegate. I'm going to send this person to do that job so I can do this other thing. That's the smarter part. The working harder is me knowing that if I have to, I can do every position in that party. So the technology is the smarter, but unless you know the work part, it doesn't matter. If your technology fails you, you can't do the work anymore.
Exactly.
Okay.
Real quick, and am I like pausing or anything, or am I better now?
No, audio's fine. Audio's fine.
All right. So
visuals are off, but audio's fine.
All right, cool. Another thing, or another analogy that I'd like to just use is, let's say earlier you were referencing getting back into the gym, right? Mm-hmm. And getting healthy. Now, let's say that your goal is to have like super round delts, right? You want your delts like round and like muscular, right? You have two choices. Or if you wanted like big traps, you want your traps to like look like a MMA fighter, right? You have two choices. You could go to the machines that have the wires that balance the weight for you. So the machine is doing half the work for you. Mm-hmm. And you could take the mentality of like, I'm not going to pick up that dumbbell or I'm not going to do that bench press. That it's just a bar and weights. Like there's no manual. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to be smart and I'm just going to, you know, right here in the machines, there's like this little picture of a guy and it tells you how to pick up the D handle and do the exercise. So I'm just going to stick with that. Fine. If you want to do that, by all means, knock yourself out, but you're not going to get those big round deltoids. Your traps aren't going to grow unless you pick up that dumbbell, unless you pick up that barbell and do the bench presses. You're not going to grow the way you want. So Jazzy Jeff is the Arnold Schwarzenegger of DJing. And that guy built his DJ muscles on analog equipment. And the equivalent to that is a dumbbell. So a dumbbell is intimidating for a lot of people. You go walk into the gym and they stare at the area with all the dumbbells and the barbells and they turn around and they go to the machines. Fine, go to the machines, but your body will never develop the way those guys and those chicks at the dumbbell area are developing their bodies. And that's why some people have amazing bodies and other people that go to the gym don't. It depends on what exercises you're doing, the equipment you're using. Same thing with DJing. So I don't care who you are out there. You could hit me with all the, well, do you work harder or smarter or economics and it's cheaper to buy this or, hey, I don't feel like carrying this stuff. Fine, but I promise you, you'll always be just an average DJ. You'll just be an average DJ. But Jazzy Jeff, Hubert, Rob Swift, Rock Raider, Craze, A-Track, the legends,
Scratch Bastard.
Right.
Yeah.
The legends, the guys that made something of this art form all started with the fundamentals on analog equipment. And it's not a coincidence. There's a reason for that.
I need to go back to the Professor BX. I read it wrong or interpreted it wrong. What he was talking about was the music of today. So obviously, you know, we go back to boom bap and old school and break beats, but the music of today is not that. So how are you teaching new students the new music and DJing off of that? Or are we still teaching them off of like the classics and the break beats? And, you know, how do you balance both of those?
The beauty of what Grandmaster Flash, Grand Wizard Theodore, Grand Mixer DST, Jazzy J, Tony Tone, Charlie Chase, Africa Bambaataa, Kool Herc, all these pillars, the beauty of their contributions with regards to the techniques that revolve around DJ and go is that it all transfers to any genre basically that you want to work with. So if you want to work with newer music like Drake and whatever whoever rapper is out and whatever new hot song is out right now, mixing, backspinning, scratching, all those techniques apply in the same way. Yeah. And I'm not one to try to impose my taste in music on my students. So if a student comes here, I have students that like work with jungle and house and all kind of shit, top 40. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you use because the techniques are so timeless and applicable in a variety of ways that it doesn't matter what genre of music you use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, you know, what we do is private events. So we're DJing for adults, kids, teenagers. So you have to be able to know all of the genres. Yes. But you're still a DJ. And my ability to bob and weave out of new stuff into old stuff, back into new, you know, into grandpa's music and keep everybody on the dance floor. That's the art of a good DJ. A good DJ is going to be able to take it all. So yeah. So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And in all honesty, for me, especially look, if anybody wants to be a DJ today, like, you know, they're 14 years old. They're like, I want to DJ. You're not going to be able to DJ just your music. A good DJ plays multiple genres and knows music from his era and his dad's era, and being able to get through all that. That's what's going to really balance out your DJ skills. Yeah. So, you know, so I would argue that having somebody DJ on the classics, you're going to need to know those things anyway. Yep. There's no way you're going to be able to have a successful career only playing, you know, little peeps, little Uzi Verts, whatever. You have to move on.
Totally. You got to know your music, man, and be diverse. You know, if you ask me to DJ a Sweet 16, I know not to play Walk This Way. You know,
actually, you can play Walk This Way. That's a funny thing. The kids know it because of Snapchat but you wouldn't go to that by default.
Honestly, you are right. I think I'm exaggerating to make a point. Like there's a time and place for certain songs to be played. There's a time and place for certain genres to be played, you know? And a Sweet 16 isn't necessarily about your musical taste. It's about the parents, whoever's Sweet 16 it is, and their friends having fun. So, you know, you sit down with them and you open yourself to the music that they like. And if you're playing a party, there may be people there that want to see you get busy and cut. But if it's not that kind of party, maybe it's not the right place and time for you to go nuts and beat juggle and do body tricks. So whether it's the techniques or the music taste, like you got to just be open-minded and adaptable. I think is what we're saying. Whether it's equipment, knowing turntables and controllers, or music taste, knowing multiple genres, current music, old music.
It's interesting because I ran into this on one of my YouTube videos where I was talking about some DJ basically stated that you should just, you know, play what you like. And I was like, as a DJ, yeah, you should play what you like, but it's not about you. You got to play what the crowd likes. You got to play what that crowd is feeling. Yes, you can guide them, you can move them, you can take them on a journey, but you still got to be able to hit the sweet spots of all the stuff. So in my mind, knowing all the music is just as important. Hold on, I'm reading this thing. Scarlett's in my ear here. Hold on. All right. So I don't know. Did he leave? Did he go somewhere?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm going to set up my phone. I'm going to set up my phone so you can see me better.
Oh, gotcha. All right. But yeah, because somebody had said, you know, it's better to know both the you got to know the new and the old, and I agree with you. But what I was saying before was that he's lifting. What I was saying before is that, you know, when you play music, it should never really be about you. Hold on, I see Rob coming in right now. To stream, let's see if he pops up. I'll remove him until he comes on, until I can see him. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. I don't know if I can hear you. Say something.
Yo, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, there we go. There we go. You're a little low because I obviously the phone is farther back. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I probably lost my train of thought here. But what I was saying is, you have to be, as a DJ, if you're playing just for yourself, you're not winning anyway. Yes, you have to play. Yes, you want to play your vibe and you want it to be about you. But as a DJ playing for a crowd, it's really not about you. But as a DJ, you can learn to love music you never liked before, purely based upon the response you get from the crowd. You know, because I've DJ, you know, like you said, the little, especially when that stuff popped up and I was like, okay, this is what the teenagers are listening to. And I was playing all that bullshit and I'm like, ugh. And then you keep playing, you keep finding new stuff. And all of a sudden you're like, you start thinking how the teenagers think. And then you're like, hey, that's a banger. That song is going to hit, you know, and then you start to appreciate it. And when they react to the song you're DJing in a positive manner, you will start to like that song more. And I got some kickback from other DJs saying, you know, well, no, you never play stuff that doesn't make you happy. You just need to play stuff because then it's not going to translate into it's not going to look real. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm having a hard time understanding that. I'm having a hard time believing that. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, that's a great question. I think that sometimes you might be working with a genre of music that you don't like, but your creativity makes the music digestible, if that makes sense. So you might get creative with these songs, establish some cool loops, throw in some acapellas over these loops. How are you approaching the transitions between songs of this genre that you may not necessarily fancy? Sometimes creativity is a great buffer for music that you may not listen to on your own free time. You know what I mean? And also something that I feel is important to consider is that taste is relative to the person listening to the music. There's shit that I came up on that I will bet anyone is dope. But if I play it for someone that wasn't around back then and may not appreciate the group and the history, it's just another song to them. And does that make them wrong? Of course not. You know, they're just not listening to it with the perspective that I have. And you got to respect that. We all have different tastes. Now, at the same time, there obviously is bullshit out there. There's music out there that's being pumped, you know, via radio or social media that isn't good music, you know. And me personally, like I get really tired of listening to, you know, rappers rap about like chicks' asses, and it's like they sell drugs, and you know, and they have this much money. You know, that after a while gets old, right? But again, there might be people out there that fuck with that. And if you're playing out at a party and the clientele at this venue are people that fuck with that, and you're the DJ of the party, you can't just throw on fucking OC Time's Up. You know what I mean? Like, they make your responsibility as a DJ is to control the audience, not play for yourself, but control the audience. And when you get the audience under control, then you figure out strategic ways to slip in the healthy shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, you know, you go to your local barbecue spot and you want to pig out, but you got to throw some fiber into the meal too, right? So you figure out a way to like gain the trust of the people that are there listening to you DJ first. And when you do that, then you gradually figure out ways to take them on a journey that maybe detours from what they're used to using, or I'm sorry, used to hearing. And only the best DJs understand how to do that, you know? So you could have all the technique down that you want. You could be the most incredible DJ, turntablist, backspin, flare scratch. Your transitions are amazing. But if you don't understand music and how to engage people via music, then you only have a part of the DJing realm under your belt. And there are other parts of that realm that you got to then be open to learning or maybe relearning. Because DJing a party is a skill, believe it or not. Understanding how to connect with people and keep people's attention is a skill, just like a flare scratch is.
Gotcha. By the way, is there still an echo coming from me? I think it's I think you if there's still an echo, do you have a echo cancellation on the on your iPhone?
I don't know if it's
it might be in the audio. It should be in the advanced audio.
Let's see. I'm gonna just put my buds on.
Yeah. I have a tip or request that you would cut out all the. Yeah, let me know what that is. Oh, Air Adam, thank you for the bit. Appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. Hydrate. 18 minutes ago. I'm a little. I've been drinking my drink the entire time now. Professor VX, thank you for the 500 bits, man. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see a couple of more. DJ Kid Wick, thank you for the bits. Appreciate you, fam. If there's any more questions, or if the hype train gets started, then we'll stand for a little while longer. But I think I think we might have nailed it.
Yo, I apologize. I apologize for my phone running out of battery and us having to fucking figure shit out.
Don't worry about it, pal. Don't worry. I honestly, we went on longer than I anticipated too. So the fact that we got a hype train started, we have a hype train incoming. All right, let's go. DZ smoking that thing. Thank you for the bits. Appreciate you. So what do you have going on right now? What's your plans for the future? What do we got going on?
Right now, I have this really cool DJ tag team thing going on with my girlfriend Dilly. We call ourselves White Chocolate. You could visit our
on IG. I've seen it.
Yeah. You could visit our Instagram page, White Chocolate, but the L is a 7. And I've just been having a lot of fun with her, man, because I'm sure everyone out there, the males, even the females that DJ that have partners, can appreciate those moments when you want to practice or get ready for a gig and your girlfriend or your boyfriend's at your house and you feel sort of torn, like they're here. Do I practice or do I ignore my turntables and sit down with them and watch this movie? You know what I mean?
Right.
And with Dilly, it's cool, man, because she and I both DJ. And so when I want to practice, but I still want to spend quality time with her, I'll be like, let's practice together. And she never says no. And we walk into the studio and we tear shit up and we're creative together. And it's fun, man, because I've had situations where either with the X-Ecutioners, with Dr. Butcher, where I'm developing with someone else, but it's always with another guy or a group of guys. And
Right.
being able to develop with your girlfriend, the person that you're in a romantic relationship with, is also cool, man. And it makes me appreciate DJing in a different way. And then I start to connect with my creativity and myself on a different level, because I'm sharing it with someone that knows me in a way that the guys don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
of course.
yeah,
Of
man,
course.
it's been fun. And that's really what I've been focusing on right now is building that brand. We have our little videos that we post. We work on our little mixtapes. Big shout to DJ City. They've shown White Chocolate a lot of love, and they've streamed a lot of our mixes and like reposted our videos and stuff like that. And I also want to send love to Rain. They've shown us a lot of love too. And yeah, man, obviously we also released an album as The Odd Couple, myself and Mr. Sinister, earlier this year, called Against All Odds. And we're still promoting that. And, continuing to be creative, man, and using all this equipment behind me to get ready for the new year and put out new product, new music. Like I said earlier, myself and my girlfriend are working on a really cool new way to help people gain more access to my tutorials. And that's coming hopefully in 2021. So
good.
Yeah, man.
By the way, level one complete of the hype train. Moving on to level 2. Let's go. Let me shout out the people that have given some bits all the way to the beginning. We have Professor VX with the bits, Kidwick with the bits, DZ smoking that thing with the bits, The Force, T Diesel with the bits, Cruz, T Diesel again with the bits, DJ Action with the bits, The Force again with the bits, Art Funk One Box with the bits, J Style Sounds also with the bits. Thank you so much. We got 145 people just on Twitch alone.
Right on.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in lurk mode that would love to get gift subscriptions. So, be a true fan. We appreciate anything you can do. Look, this is what we do for a living. This is, for a lot of people, this is how we make money and how we can pay for our homes and provide food and everything. So I appreciate every single dime. DJ Scarlett with the 5 gifted tier subs. Thank you so much. She pushed us over into tier 3. We're moving up the hype train level 3. Let's go.
Big shout to Scarlett. What up, Shilpa?
Yeah, she was the one that said, you allow the DJs to pretty much, find their sweet spot. So if there's something that they gravitate to, you work with them on that. So that's the key. It is. It's not so I appreciate that. All right, level 3. Who we got? We got J Mix with the cheer. Thank you so much for the bits. Husky with the bits. Thank you. Appreciate you. Scarlett said, that's my government. The Force gifting out tier 1 subs. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. This is what I like to see. You guys look, I appreciate every single one of you. And look, again, the fact that Rob decided to dedicate, a good 3 hours with me, says a lot about you. When we talked yesterday, you were like, I got all the time in the world. I was like, okay. And you really did.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Looks like we just hit, who did we get? We got Husky with more bits. We are now are we at level 4? Level 4 hype train. We got BSE music with the cheer. Who else we got? Cruz again with the cheer. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys are killing it today. Can we get to level 5? Let's see what we can do here. All right. So again though, thank you so much for coming on today. I will let you go because we're going to raid somebody right after this. Appreciate you. This video will be on my YouTube channel to be watched. It'll be archived there. So if you want to refer people to it later on, because there's a lot of quality content on this video. Honestly, I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot from this video. And the fact that even up until now, 3 hours later, we still have 204 people watching from all of the things. So that says a lot. That says a lot, man. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, dog.
Anytime.
we will definitely have to get you back on here sometime. You know, maybe
Yeah,
sometime
man.
later in the new year. Let's do that.
Let's do it. I'll bring Dilly on too, man. So you could chat with her, man.
Let's do that.
She's really dope. And I like,
Yeah.
you know, she reps for the females too, man. There's a lot of dope females out there doing shit, and you know, we always talk to the guys that do it. So she helps balance out that.
You
that
know what's funny? I have been trying to bring girls on, and I've had a couple now. But every time I ask the girls, they're like, "Well, I don't know." I'm just like, "Yo, like, don't make me seem like this chauvinist that only brings on dudes. Like, I want to bring on girls."
Yeah.
You know, so I'm trying. Dude. I have at least I got 3 in the coffer, but yeah, let's get her on too. Let's do that. It'll be dope. Nikki Ninja in the house. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. Appreciate you. We'll talk a little later, but hey, man, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. All right, peace out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, throw the ones in the chat. Throw the ones in the chat. Throw the wake ups in the chat. Wake ups in the chat to show that you found this interview amazing. I know that I did. Honestly, that was an amazing show. I appreciate every single one of you. We are still on level 4 hype train. Level 4 hype train at 9%. Let's get that thing to level 5. Let's get that thing to level 5. We definitely need that. So let's go. 9%. We can keep going. I didn't mention J-Buck in the house. J-Buck, what's going on, fam? Good to see you. Art Funk with the bits. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. DJ Husky with the bits. You guys are killing it out there. Thank you so much. 11%. We got 2 minutes left on this hype train. I know somebody's going to come in and save the day in a minute because that's what people do. All of a sudden, there's like a 5-piece. John's like, don't let it die. But thank you so much. VDJ D-Rock with the 100 bits. Special J 910 with the 100 bits. L. Connors, I agree with you, man. It was fire. It was fire. I kind of knew it was going to be. DeElo Show with the bits. Thank you so much. We are 20%. A minute and 30 seconds left. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. We can do this, guys. We can definitely do this. So for all of you guys that are going to be around tomorrow, Subtech with the 100 bits. Thank you. I will be on Tweak Music Tips tomorrow. DeElo Show with more bits. Thank you. We'll be on Tweak Music Tips. It's going to be a dope show. We're going to be dressed up it's the holiday special. So it's going to be super dope. I encourage everybody to get on there, Tweak Music Tips tomorrow. And then right afterwards, we're doing another themed father and son DJ. Themed father and son DJ tomorrow, right after Tweak Music Tips. So it's going to be dope. So make sure you guys are there for that. 34%, 50 seconds left. To Elo with more bits. We can do this, guys. We can do this. Let's go. Sub only interviews. Yeah, I'm still weighing that. T Diesel with the extra bits. Thank you so much for my mods. My mods are killing it. Let's see. Did I miss anybody with the bits? Subtech, I got you. All right, we got 30 seconds left. Level 4 hype train. 30 seconds left. We are at 47%. I think that's like 5 subs. That's like a 5-piece right there. That's like a 5-piece. DeElo Show with more bits. D-Rock with more bits. Thank you so much. Can we get it? 10 seconds left. Can we do it? I'm not sure. Somebody going to come in? Is somebody going to come in? It's through 1. We are not going to hit it, but I appreciate everybody for donating. That is amazing. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that. Don't worry about it. Hey, it's all good because this is what it's about. This is what it's about. It's about just supporting what we do here. And, this lets us kind of do another day, another day of this. Marcus Greaves, you can hear the whole thing. You can just watch it when it shuts down. You can watch the stream over again. It's a long show. DJ D Official, thank you so much. And I know somebody spent some channel points on a question. Was that who asked the question? Somebody asked the question. Oh, Special 9. Okay. Special J says, I was using the S11. Do you think some of the icons, the hamburger, were slightly larger? It's okay for me. I don't have an issue with that. It's been fine. and dear Ferris Paul wasn't subbed. That's okay. That is okay, guys. Honestly, we appreciate you. So now we are going to go appreciate somebody else with the raid. And let's see, who do we want to send this to today? Who do we want to send this to? Let's get some music on here. Who do we want to send this to? I want to send this to somebody new. You know, I don't think we've rated for DJ Fly. Somebody go on to DJ Fly's page and ask DJ Fly how long he's going to be on for DJ Fly. You know what? I'm thinking about A Skills too. I'm thinking about A Skills. Although he hasn't started yet. Yeah, he hasn't started yet. 360? This is why I never ask, because then it turns into this whole cluster with people like, hey, we should do this. You know what? We can do 360. Let's do 360. Yeah, let's do 360. She's dope anyway. Hopefully she stays on a little longer than lunch. All right, let me set this rate up. All right. All right, let's start this raid up. Everybody hang on. By the way, once you get to DJ 360, what I want you to do is throw my wake up emotes all in the chat. I need to see as many wake up emotes in the chat when we get there. Again, she's super dope. She was on Tweak Music Tips last Friday. So everybody in here, we got 148 people still on Twitch alone. I want to see this number go higher than 74. We can do higher than 74. Let's roll, people. Let's roll. So once again, everybody get on Tweak Music Tips tomorrow. We'll be on at 10 a.m. And then I'll be DJing with my son around noon on my channel. So, and we're going to do a whole holiday special, like with costumes and everything. All right, y'all. Guys, it's been my pleasure to be here today. I appreciate all of you. We'll see you tomorrow. And then obviously we'll be back on Monday for another Wake Up in Cleveland, where we might have another special guest. Guys, appreciate y'all. We'll see you soon. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let's start this raid. Let's go.